So ready, but just wait on the song going. What song going? Microphone check. Started. Ask that the sisters cover your heads, brothers uncover your heads. We're going to go and face Jerusalem and get ready to open up.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
Lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
Thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
His mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
The King of Kings.
The King of Kings.
And Lord of Lords.
Lord of Lords.
The one true God.
The one true God.
And there is no other.
There is no other.
Amen.
Amen.
Today's opening scripture comes from Matthew 23 and verse 36. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often when I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chicks under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see henceforth till ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. I just read Matthew 23, verses 36 through 39. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Lord, please. Whether you know it or not, that's how the Lord wanted. You can't serve him halfway. You got to, either you're going to serve the Lord or you're going to serve Satan, but there won't be no straddling the fence when it comes to serving God. So I'd like to say grace and peace in Jesus' name to everybody that's here today, everybody that's watching online. It's a definitely blessing to be here once again on Lord's Sabbath day. And we're going to get into the lesson. As y'all can see from the title of the class, it's called the Second Exodus. And if y'all have any, we have children's class also, so y'all want your kids to go over there, they're more than welcome. But as you can see from the title of the class, it's called the Second Exodus to the Wilderness, then Jerusalem. Because there's a process that has to take place as far as us being delivered out of this captivity. It's more so likely to happen almost like it did last time when we came out of Egypt. But this time it's just going to be on a bigger scale. You know, instead of us just coming out of one location like our forefathers did last time, if you look at us today, we scattered all over the world. You know, so that should let you know we need to be gathered from all over the world. You know, and even in addition to that, we do have to understand that before we can get into the promised land, there's a stopping point. You know, and it's called the wilderness, sisters and brothers, and that's where it's going to happen just like it did last time, back into that same wilderness our forefathers went into. We're going to do the same exact thing. Now, overall, what we trying to get, just want to make sure we understand this, we trying to get everlasting life, right? We want to make the first resurrection. So we make the first resurrection. Soon as Jesus returns, we good. As a matter of fact, we'll be ruling with Jesus as kings and priests. We won't have to worry about flesh and blood anymore, like we have to worry about it now. So once the Lord get back, if we've been doing everything that's necessary, you know, just like what we're doing now, keeping the Sabbath, observing the Lord's feast days, keeping his commandments, if we be so blessed to make this first resurrection, he won't be gathering us to the wilderness like that, as far as like when he come back and gather Israel from their captivity. Like I said, hopefully we make this first resurrection and we, you know, get to rule with the Lord when he returns. You know, so that's the difference. You got the first resurrection, and then you also have some people, Israelites, that's going to survive this great tribulation that's getting ready to come upon the world real soon. You know, and you think about all the trouble that we looked at a few weeks ago with Armageddon, Jesus at the helm of the New World Order, a few classes we looked at a couple weeks ago, and you see it's a lot of destruction, right? A lot of death going on, a lot of war that's going to take place. But at the same time, the Lord going to save his people. He's not going to allow all of us to be destroyed. So go to Malachi chapter 3 and we'll see why. Because even though we may be catching all type of hell right now, don't look like there's any hope for us as a people, but at the same time, God made a covenant with Abraham and he going to uphold his end of the deal. So Malachi chapter 3, and we're going to pick this up at verse 6. And Malachi is right before you get to the New Testament, the last book in the Old Testament. Malachi chapter 3, and pick this up at one verse 6. What'd that say, brother?
For I am the Lord, I change not.
Go ahead.
Therefore you sons of Jacob are not consumed.
So you see that, right? You know, the Lord, he don't change. And this Lord we talking about, this is actually Jesus. But he said, I'm the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So you see the plight that happened to us as a people. It was real bad. It's still bad. You know, it ain't bad as it was some years ago, but we still, you know, we still a slave, sisters and brothers. We still at the bottom, and we are still in need of redemption to be set free. However, you know, the Lord don't change. And that's why we haven't been wiped out as a nation of people. He said, I'm the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. He made a covenant with Abraham that he was going to give us the promised land. He also set us up as his firstborn. Other places tell you that we are the apple of his eye. But what you see going on with us right now, the Lord just, he chastising us as a nation of people. And that's what we have to understand. But he's not going to allow us to be completely wiped out, sisters and brothers, because he don't change. But go into Genesis chapter 15, because in order for us to, even get back to what happened in the beginning as far as with our forefathers going into the first wilderness, we have to look at it and see, because it's going to happen again. That's why I call this the second Exodus. That's just a mass departure of a lot of people leaving at one particular time. That first Exodus that took place, we talk about that a lot. Matter of fact, we observe it during the time of the Passover. That's when we kind of get into a lesson and kind of show you what happened when Israel came out of that first captivity. And there was a lot of things that were done, on behalf of Israel, how God came and saved this people, sisters and brothers. But he going to do it all over again. And matter of fact, that conversation about what happened the first time, look, that's going to be a thing of the past after he do this all over again. But Genesis chapter 15, we're going to pick this up at verse 13. Read that for me.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Okay, so now, one thing we have to make sure we understand, sisters and brothers, this 400-year captivity that the Lord is referring to when he's talking to Abraham, it's not talking about now. We like to say, I even see some people, I saw Spike Lee on CNN, they commemorating the 400 years. Well, what about all the other slaves that are scattered around the world? What they commemorating? Because, look, it wasn't just America that we went into captivity, where we went into captivity at. But the 400 years, sisters and brothers, that's not talking about here in America. We've been in captivity way longer than 400 years. The captivity of the 400 years that the Bible is referring to, at this particular time, it's going to tell you. All we have to do is just read the Bible, sisters and brothers, and stop trying to look for things outside of the Word. Because if you ain't noticed by now, it's August going on September, tomorrow, right? At what point we leaving? Because they say this is 400 years, right, that we're going to be set free. Ain't nobody went nowhere, right? That should let you know it wasn't talking about this. God did give us signs that we need to observe and pay attention to, that's going to, let us know of his coming. But this right here, what we're reading about right now, this is not it. This is talking about this first captivity that our forefathers experienced. So he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. What else to say, brother?
And also that nation who they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
That's right. Keep reading.
And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
Keep reading.
But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
All right, so that's very key, that verse right there. They say Abraham going to die. In other words, he's not going to be here to see this particular event take place. But the Lord let him know this was going to happen to his seed. Then he tells him, he said, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So y'all know who the Amorites are? Amorites will come out of the seed of Ham, sisters and brothers. That'll be, just to make it a little easier for you to comprehend, that would be your Africans in a sense. But the Africans ain't ruling the world now, are they? Right, their time is over with. And during this time right here that the Lord is referring to, this was when we were in bondage to the pharaohs. That's when, like I like to describe it, Barack Obama, his people had our people in captivity. You understand what I'm saying? So, look, our king is Jesus. We got to stop putting our faith in man. That's why ain't nothing changed. Like I say, he did more for gay people than he did for us, didn't he? If you think about it, it look like Trump is helping us more than anything. But nobody like to say it. Won't like to look at it like that, because I see more Hebrews got jobs now. But anyway, the point is, hey, that's not our people in the first place. Not to say he can't get salvation, but look, them are not our people. We were in captivity to the Egyptian sisters and brothers, and that's what this is referring to. So that 400-year period, that has already happened. What we're looking forward to is a redemption that's coming, but it's going to be under the hand of the Gentiles, not the Amorites, sisters and brothers. All right, and we'll see that. It's going to tell you that in the Bible. We're going to Exodus chapter 1. Let's see what the Lord was talking about when he revealed this to Abraham. Exodus chapter 1. We're not going to read all of it. We just trying to show the location of where they actually went to when they got delivered out of Egypt. Because it's the second Exodus to the wilderness. So we have to see and pinpoint when did they get to the wilderness in the first place, the first time. So Exodus chapter 1, we're going to pick this up at verse 6. All right, go and read that.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
Keep reading.
And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty.
Right, because when they first came in there, there was a famine in the land, and what ended up happening, Joseph, he was governor over Egypt. So Jacob, he came down with his family, Joseph was his son anyway, so hey, it's like he was already connected once they got there. But when they got into Egypt, it was 70 souls, sisters and brothers. By the time they came out, look, it was a great nation of people. And that's why I said Joseph died and all his brethren and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied. What else it say?
And waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them.
That's right. Now skip down to verse 10 and read that. What happened now? Because look, as they begin to multiply and grow, there was different things that were put in effect to try to stop this. And the Pharaoh was like, well, look, we're going to have to do something because they're going to mess around and outgrow us. And if there's a war that breaks out, they're going to turn against us. So let's see what was the plan on how to take out this nation of people. Read verse 10, brother.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Go ahead.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Right, so now we getting ready to experience our first captivity. And it started in Egypt, sisters and brothers. That's why when we look at Deuteronomy 28, and the Bible makes reference to the Lord sending us back into Egypt again, he won't be talking about this original Egypt. Certain places in the Bible, when you see the word Egypt, hey, right behind it mentioning where the Lord said, I'm the Lord thy God, which had brought you out of Egypt. Right after that, sometimes he say, out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So it's almost like they go hand in hand. Because our first captivity that we experienced, it was in Egypt, sisters and brothers. So right now, we just in a worldwide Egypt. And we need to be delivered as well, sisters and brothers. But he said what? They did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. So we built all that fancy stuff for the Egyptians. We did that, sisters and brothers. And then, hey, they had a hand in us going to slavery. When they say black people sold black people, that's absolutely correct. Black people did sell black people into captivity, but it was a difference in the black people, though. One of those nation of people came out of Shem, which happened to be the Israelites. They came out of Shem, who was working for the Egyptians who come out of Ham. So that's how you should know color don't matter, sisters. It got nothing to do with color. Got something to do with nationality when it comes to God. But the Egyptians were the ones who was selling the Israelites into captivity. Same skin color, different group of people, though, sisters and brothers. But what happened? What it say in verse 12?
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Right, so no matter what they did, no matter what kind of plan they came up with, they kept on growing. That's kind of like today. Psalms 83, around verse 4, lets you know it says, they have said, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. And if you look around, all these different plans that they have to take out Israel, just like it was back then, it still exists. Planned Parenthood, abortion clinic. What do you think of all that stuff? Look, if you can stop, and matter of fact, a lot of people don't understand it or don't really pay attention to it. The nation starts with the man. So we can take the man out, then we can destroy the nation, sisters and brothers. That's why what it says in verse, well, keep reading, because it's gonna identify, pinpoint who Pharaoh was actually trying to take out. And that's just going to show you, look, it ain't really nothing changed because the same thing is going on today. But he said, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Verse 13.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
Uh-huh.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick,
Go ahead.
and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Uh-huh. Keep reading.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of them was
Of the one
Sifra.
it was.
Of the one was Sifra,
Uh-huh.
and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him.
Right, now notice what he's saying, right? Now, he done got desperate to the point because whatever they was doing at first with the bondage, that wasn't working, was it? So he said, look, told the Hebrew midwives, when you do the service, you know, and basically if you go deliver a child and it's a male, kill it. And the reason why you're going to take the male out, because like I said, that's where the nation starts at, sisters and brothers. You know, whatever the father is, that's what the child is. So it's like an all-out assault on the man. Back then, and you still seeing that going on today, sisters and brothers. So he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. What else to say?
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
So why you going to let the girl live? Say, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Because look, the daughter is not the one that's going to, start the nation off. The man starts off the nation. You see? So that's why there's an agenda back then to take out the male. The same thing going on today. Why do you think there be so many police shootings? A lot of men getting shot down. Look in the prison system. We fill up more prison system than any other nationality people, but we the minority. Don't make sense, does it? Now I know we, made the Lord upset. And the Lord got us in these, in this situation, chastising us. But just think about it. How is it that we the minority, but we lead in diseases, we lead in the prison system, all the different things you see going on with law enforcement and stuff, for the most part, it's mainly brothers that are getting shot down by the police. Then on top of that, hey, we killing each other. It's like we glorify killing each other. That's why some of us need to be careful listening to rap music. I ain't got nothing against it. I was a heavy person in the music. But, I kind of see the damage that it does, because some people don't know how to decipher or split that stuff up. Some people actually think they go out and kill people because they listening to somebody rapping. And the rappers ain't even doing that. But that's a tool, or that's a way to keep us from multiplying, sisters and brothers. All different things are being put up to stop this man from But look, what the Lord said. The Lord, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So whatever they try, it's not going to work, sisters and brothers. But the same thing is happening just like it was back then. He said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill it. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But now flip over to Numbers chapter 14, because in the book of Exodus, that goes into, what ended up happening once God had got fed up with all the stuff that was happening in Israel. Once the Lord said that was enough, hey, he sent Moses to go ahead and start proclaiming to Pharaoh what was going to take place. Then eventually the Lord went on and stepped in and delivered us out of bondage, sisters and brothers. And that's what Exodus is mainly about. That's why it's called Exodus. However, once they left Egypt, where did they go? They didn't walk right into the promised land. And that's what we have to understand. When the Lord get back, look, we ain't going straight to the promised land. Not talking about those that have these immortal bodies. We'll be working for God, but hey, even Jesus going to the wilderness, because Jerusalem got to get cleaned up after he destroyed this place. You understand? But once the Lord come back and deliver these captives from all over the world, they going right back to the wilderness. And that's the first place they went. So Numbers chapter 14, let's see what's going to happen here. Numbers 14. And this is when the Lord had told them to go spy out the land of Canaan. And they came back with an evil report, and because of that, the Lord was upset. They looked at those, they looked at the Amalekites, and I think Anak, his son, they looked at them and seen how big they were, and they say, look, they say, yeah, the land is full of milk and honey, but there's some giants over there, man. We grasshoppers in their eyes. Now, they came back and told the people this. You know, so the Lord got upset about that, sisters and brothers. So because of that, we're going to see what the Lord did. So Numbers 14, pick it up at verse 1. What does it say, brother?
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night.
Right, so they done came up and caused or stirred up confusion with their report. Moses ended up picking 12 men out of 12 tribes, and he told them, look, y'all go spy out the land and look at it and see. They found some nice, big, pomegranates and grapes and all that stuff, and they was like, yep, that is the land of milk and honey, but we ain't going to be able to take these people down. And that's why I said here in chapter 14, and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. What else to say, brother?
And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron.
Keep reading.
And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt?
So in other words, look, you should have left us alone. You could have died in Egypt. Israel, something else. This is after God had already delivered them. After he did all them wonders in Egypt, after he took down their gods and killed off the firstborn and then set them free, hey, you should already know in your mind if God has delivered us this first time, the second time should be no problem, right? But hey, they didn't have no faith, sisters and brothers. They say, look, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or what else?
Over God, we had died in this wilderness.
Right, look, we might as well die right here, but notice where they at, though. They're in the wilderness, ain't they? Go on and keep reading. What it say, brother?
And wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt?
But y'all see that? Hey, brother, go back into Egypt. They done start talking. Look, they're going to mess around and kill our kids. Our wives going to be a prey. Be better for us just to go back into Egypt. They just quickly forgot what the Lord had already done, sisters and brothers. But it's two of them brothers that, that were faithful in their report, and Joshua and Caleb was one of them, sisters, one of the two. Or those two that have some faith, they felt like, look, we can take them down. God is on our side. They don't have no defense. But what it say in verse 6, though? Read that.
And Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land.
Right, so look at Joshua and Caleb. They like, look, man, the land that we saw, it's a good land. And we can take it down. What do he say?
If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us.
Go ahead.
And the land which flowed with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord.
Right, now you see they was complaining to Moses and stuff, wasn't they? That's why we was looking at a few weeks ago about stop complaining, be humble. Be humble, stop complaining, however it went. But the point was, look, sometimes you'll let situations get you in a place where you open your mouth and you're going to make the Lord upset. So, always look at yourself. Regardless if you ain't did nothing wrong, you don't feel like you need to be getting chastised, just look at yourself. And if you didn't do nothing wrong, then, hey, I just got to have mercy. But don't ever put it on the Lord, sisters and brothers. Because you're going to see what's going to happen because the Lord got upset. But look, they said, look, in verse 8, if the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us a land which flow with milk and honey. So they had some faith. These two brothers did. What else to say? Read 9 again.
Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us.
Now, notice what they saying. Look, they like, man, look, we'll take them down, man. They're bread for us. We'll go in there and take them down. All that stuff they got, that'll belong to us. Go ahead and read.
Their defense is departed from them.
They ain't got no defense. Look, we got God on our side. Said their defense is departed from them. What else you say?
And the Lord is with us. Fear them not.
Now, notice what Israel going to do, because we still do this today, don't we? What it say in verse 10? Watch this. Go ahead.
But all the congregation bade stone them with stones.
Now, you see what they did, right? Now, why you can't take them same stones and go beat them giants up? And just like Israel, don't we shoot each other, but you won't shoot the police. Ain't nothing changed, has it? He said, but all the congregation bade stone them with stones. You got these brothers like, look, man, we can take them down. But they want to stone them. Then it says what? And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. Look at verse 20 for me. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word.
And the reason why he's saying this, because at this point, they done made the Lord upset. The Lord told Moses, I'm going to kill all of them. You know, we'll start over with you. But Moses had to remind the Lord, look, you done delivered these people out of Egypt. If you do that, the Egyptians going to look at you like you couldn't handle them. That's bad, ain't it? That's bad when people, Lord's going to kill Israel, save Moses now, because he did make the covenant with Abraham. So he was going to have somebody to start over with. But Moses said, look, man, if you kill them, man, they're going to look at you like you couldn't even handle these people. That go to show we some bad people, ain't it? Mm-hmm. But the Lord loves us, though. But it says, and that's what Moses did. Moses interceded on the behalf of Israel, sisters and brothers. That's why another place to tell you, he's called a prophet like unto Moses, Jesus, when he came, because guess what Jesus did? Jesus, he's our intercessor as well now. Another place called Moses, king. Jesus, when he come, he going to be the king, sisters and brothers. So you see, like, similarities. They had to hide Moses as a child. They had to hide Jesus as a child. So when we talk about Deuteronomy 18, when he said, I'm going to raise up a prophet like unto you, that's talking about Jesus. He going to be of your brethren. It's going to be just like Moses. You're going to see a lot of similarities. It's not talking about Muhammad. That's what a lot of Muslims like to say. That prophet is Muhammad. It talks about that in Deuteronomy. I always say, why you got to use our book to prove your belief? Like, don't use our book, use your Quran, which is a bunch of garbage. I love to say that online, here, everywhere. I want the whole world to know the Quran is garbage. For real. I'm probably going to make a Muslim mad. I don't care. Like, it is garbage. All the damage they done did us with this false doctrine. But look, it ain't talking about Muhammad anyway. It's just talking about Jesus, sisters and brothers. But it said, the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. What else to say? Go ahead.
But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord.
Uh-huh.
Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times.
That's right. Keep reading.
And have not hearkened to my voice.
Uh-huh.
Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers.
Now notice what they did, though, right? They tempted the Lord by what came out of their mouth, didn't they? That's why you have to make sure you control your tongue, especially when it comes to the Lord, sisters and brothers. Don't let your situations cause you to make your situation worse. But it's the mouth that got them in trouble. Lack of faith. Because all those men which have seen my glory, they saw it, right? They seen what the Lord has done. And my miracles which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness have tempted me now these 10 times and have not hearkened to my voice. What does it say?
Surely they shall not see the land.
So wait a minute. He says, surely they shall not see the land, right? That lets you know they wasn't in the land, correct? Why? Because you got to stop in the wilderness first. And that's where they at. They in the wilderness. They ain't walked into the promised land yet. Just like when the Lord get back, hey, Israel ain't going into the promised land first either. That wilderness is that stopping place where, hey, this nation going to have to, stop and get these rules and orders before they walk into that promised land. And if you ain't going to agree to the order, you're going to get killed in that wilderness, just like he going to do here. Keep reading what it say, brother.
Which I swear unto their fathers.
Is that it on that?
The middle.
Okay, go ahead.
Neither shall any of them that provoke me to see it.
What it say in verse 26?
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me?
Go ahead.
I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, As truly as I live, saith the Lord, as you have spoken in my ear, so will I do to you. Your carcass shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me.
Right. So 20 years old and upward, they're gonna die in the wilderness, right? That's what's gonna end up happening, and then the children gonna come up that are from these guys, they're going to come up, they're going to be able to see the promised land. But look, these who doubted, they're going to die in the wilderness. He said, your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your whole number. But you just got to think to yourself, why is all this wilderness going on? Because remember now, Jerusalem, that's a holy place, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so before you get into the land, it's like, you know, you got to get everything sorted out. Because if you go back into just think about it, they got into the land, they got kicked out of the land. So you ain't going to be able to walk into the Holy Land, you know, still trying to live like we live over here in America. Lord going to stop all that stuff from the wilderness. Just like he did back then, but the only thing back then, we got in the wilderness, we got into the promised land, and we started kicking. And the Lord went on and, you know, got us up out of that, sisters and brothers, because it don't work like that. If we going to be in the Holy Land as a holy people, then we have to live by a certain standard. But what did it say? Keep reading.
Doubtless you shall not come into the land.
Oh, notice what it say. He say, doubtless you should not come into the land, didn't he? So evidently that had to be a problem. That bad report they came back with. He said, doubtless you shall not come in the land. What else?
Concerning which I spake to make you dwell therein. Save Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun.
Right, so those are the only ones over 20 that's getting into the land. Everybody else ain't getting in. All right, go and skip down to verse 33 and read that.
And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years.
How long are they going to wander in the wilderness?
40 years.
40 years. So, hey, it took them 40 days to go spy the land out. 40 days to go look at the land. They came back with a bad report. And the Lord said, you know what? I'm going to add a year to each day. Like, for instance, it took you 40 days. So every day we gonna make it a year. For every day that you was over there, we're going to turn that into 1 year. So it ended up being 40 years that they had to stay in that wilderness. They weren't too far from Jerusalem. Lord got them in it walking in circles. All because of that bad report. But guess what? They were in the wilderness. He said, your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years. And what else?
And bear your whoredoms until your carcass be wasted in the wilderness.
That's right. So now let's go over to Psalms 105. Because eventually he's going to bring them down into the wilderness. But Psalms 105, starting around verse 23, it's really a brief synopsis of what happened back then. So let's look at it. Psalms 105. And we're going to pick this up at verse 23. This is why we didn't have to read Exodus, because Psalms 105 is going to kind of sum everything up for us. So go and pick this up at verse 23. What did that say, brother?
Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
Right, so Israel, Jacob, one and the same. Jacob was his name at first, and he got his name changed to Israel, sisters and brothers. So that's why it says, read that verse again.
Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
Right, and that's where we was at. We came down into Egypt during the time of the famine and sojourned in the land of Ham. And that would be the son, you know, Ham would be like the father of, you know, the Amorites and stuff like that. Then all the Canaanites, the Egyptians and stuff, he would be the father of them. And they were ruling, you know, for a while, but hey, as far as where the land that the Lord promised Israel, the land of the Amorites and Canaanites and stuff, once their time was full, once that iniquity had reached this point where it couldn't go no more, then the Lord went on and took them down, sisters and brothers. That was that time frame. That was that first captivity that the Lord was referring to when he was speaking to Abraham. But he said Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. What else?
And he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies.
Right, we read about that, didn't we? How they multiplied and grew, right? But Psalms just telling you that. It said he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. What else?
He turned their heart to hate his people.
Notice what he did, though, right? He turned the hearts of the people in Egypt to hate us. And you may be wondering, like, why would God do something like that? Because, look, the Lord is going to show the whole world that he's the real God of all these guys. That's why when Pharaoh wanted to let the people go, he couldn't do it. The Lord wouldn't allow him to change his mind. And guess what? We still talk about that event even now today, don't we? We still talk about that, how the Lord split that Red Sea, a real great event, still being talked about way down the line in our time. because the Lord said he was going to show his power to the world. But he said he turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. What else?
He sent Moses his servant, and Aaron whom he had chosen.
Keep reading.
They showed his signs among them, and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word.
Go ahead.
He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance in the chambers of their kings. He spake, and there came divers sorts of flies.
Right, he ain't had to touch nothing, did he? He just spake, didn't he? He said he spake, and there came diverse sorts of flies, and what else?
And lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain.
Right, that's what he rained on. He rained some hail on them. Keep reading.
And flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also, and their fig trees, and brake the trees of their coasts.
Now, this is what our God did for us. You know, this is what the Lord did for Israel, his people. You know, and it's so far away from us that we probably can't even imagine it. But this has something to do with our forefathers. Their experiences. They saw this, sisters and brothers. He smote their vines also and their fig trees and brake the trees of their coasts. What else?
He spake, and all the locusts came, and caterpillars, and that without number. And did eat up all the herbs of the land, and devoured the fruit of their ground.
Go ahead.
He smote also all the firstborn in their land, the chief of all their strength.
Right, the beginning of their strength, the firstborn. But this is some of the things what God did for his people, sisters and brothers. What else does it say?
He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Egypt was glad when they departed.
Notice what it says. He brought them forth also with silver and gold. That's when they came out. They spoiled the Egyptians, right? They came forth with silver and gold. Same thing gonna happen. When the Lord come back and deliver us this time, hey, we coming out with silver and gold. We ain't got no money. We broke now as a people, but when we come out, hey, we gonna have all this stuff. The same thing gonna happen. He said he brought them forth also with silver and gold. And there was not one feeble person among their tribes. What else to say?
Egypt was glad when they departed.
They was happy we got out of there, wasn't it? He said Egypt was glad when they departed. What?
For the fear of them fell upon them. He spread a cloud for a covering, and a fire to give light in the night. The people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven.
Right, so he took care of them, didn't he? Lord took care of his people, sisters and brothers. He delivered them, made sure they was good. You know, for the life of me, I still can't understand what's in our head, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why we would do something like this, and I can't really knock them because we still doing the same thing today, ain't we? You know, we try to talk to people about the Word of God, and hey, they still want to celebrate Christmas. They still want their Easter. And one of the worst things, they want their pork. They want their catfish. You can't get it from it. So I kind of understand. That's why I don't be quick to say, well, if God was here, we wouldn't do that. We still doing it. He said we're rebellious people. He told Isaiah to go write it in the book. Go write it on the table and note it in the book that this is a rebellious people. Would not hear the law of the Lord. So ain't nothing changed. We just like our fathers, ain't we? He said he brought them forth also with silver and gold. But where you at? You in verse 40, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What the people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. What else to say?
He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in the dry places like a river.
Right. Hey, he going to do that again, though. But in the wilderness, that's what he did, though. He said he opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in the dry places like a river. Why? Because inside the wilderness, hey, everything is desert out there. And that's what a lot of people think. Hey, we get out to the wilderness. How the Lord going to take care of us? Do we need to get passports? You know, do we need passports? Do we need to take some food? You know, people say that too. They're like, well, we got to get ready for the wilderness. We got to learn how to do this. I just shake my head like, yeah, okay. You ain't got to learn how to do nothing. What do you say? Keep the commandments, right? That's what you need to do. Remember the mission, preach the gospel to the end of the world, and get to the wilderness. You ain't got to listen. Don't be trying to bring all that food. You're going to mess around and get caught running with a backpack of some, sardines and trying to run. You better not. You don't need to take nothing. God going to have everything set up for us. When the church get to the wilderness the first go round, and when Israel get gathered as a whole, hey, Lord gonna have everything set up. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Because if you're hungry, what he did? Read 40 again.
The people asked, and he brought quail.
So he provided food, didn't he? You need some food, right? You probably say, I need food, and you need some water too, right? So what he did in 41?
He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out.
Right, so you got something to wash that quail down. But the point is, you had some food and water, didn't you? So you ain't got to worry about nothing. Just get to the wilderness. God gonna make sure he take care of his church, sisters and brothers. Before the Great Tribulation start, we gonna be straight in the wilderness. And when he get back after the Great Tribulation, he gathers Israel from all over the world. They're gonna be straight in the wilderness also. That's what we have to understand. We gotta understand this is not, something that we calling on man to handle. God is handling this, sisters and brothers. He said he got cattle on 1,000 hills. If I needed something, I would ask you. But the point is, look, God gonna take care of his people. You ain't got to worry. The biggest problem for us, you know what that's gonna be? That's gonna be faith. That's gonna be the biggest problem. Leaving everybody behind, family and friends. When it's time to escape before this great tribulation, if we be so blessed to get out, that's gonna be the biggest problem. Faith, sisters and brothers. That's gonna be the biggest problem. But it shouldn't be, though. The reason why I say that, because, you should be really convinced in your mind that this is the truth when you start seeing that stuff happen. You know why I say you should be convinced? Because the Lord already told you it's going to happen before it even started unfolding. So it shouldn't even be no doubt there. You should know it's time for us to go, right? Because he told you how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, what to look for. So when you see them signs, you know, okay, yeah, it's about time for us to go. But the Lord took care of them, sisters and brothers. What it say in verse 42?
For he remembered his holy promise.
So he remembered his holy promise. That's why I told you, look, he's not going to take Israel out, even though it looked bad, but he remembered his holy promise. He made a covenant with Abraham. So he going to what? He going to fulfill his end of the deal. Abraham did what he was supposed to do, right? Abraham is dead, so the only one that got to fulfill his, it was Jesus now. And like he said, what? He remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. What else to say, brother?
And he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness.
Right, so like I said, a brief synopsis. Overall, when it was all said and done, when he brought them out of Egypt, he said he brought forth his people with joy and his chosen with gladness. What else?
And gave them the lands of the heathen.
Oh, okay, so now they're in the promised land. He gave them the land of the heathens, the Canaanites, the Amorites, he gave them that land. They were in the promised land. They was good. Gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people. Because we don't do that now, dude. Now we working and everybody else enjoying our labor. But hey, it was a time when our forefathers walked into the land and enjoyed the labor of the people. See, they built up their stuff, had their stuff looking all nice, and once we walked in there, hey, that's our stuff. We enjoyed the labor of the people. That's what it say, right? He gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people. What else it say?
That they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise you, the Lord.
Right, and this is what we're supposed to do, sisters and brothers. But he did all this for us. We're supposed to keep his laws. You know what? We're supposed to be an example to the world. If you want to find righteousness, you should be able to look at these people that the world call Negroes, all the bywords that we're called. Well, that's the person you're supposed to look at and get the word. Not how to twerk, not how to do all these dances and stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with you dancing, but look, we're supposed to look, the word's supposed to be able to look at us and know how to get salvation. See, we got our mindset on the wrong thing. We worried about money, worried about houses. Ain't nothing wrong with having this stuff. But hey, we got to have our sights set on serving God. Not trying to, be the best dancer, America's Next Top Model, and, I know that's old. America's Got Talent and all that type of stuff. Look, we dealing with God here, sisters and brothers. So how the world going to get saved if the priest ain't preaching the gospel? How's it going to happen? But you're supposed to be able to look at the priest and get understanding on the word. And that's why God look at us, that's why we being dealt with so bad and being beat so bad, because the responsibility is great on our behalf. It ain't just like, it's not like anybody else. The Lord ain't putting on nobody else to do this. He put it on us. But this who's referring to in this, right? He say, gave us the lands of the heathen. They inherited the labor of the people, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise ye the Lord. But something happened. Flip over to Deuteronomy chapter 32. Let's see what happened with Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy 32, pick this up at verse 15. What does it say, brother?
But Jeshurun waxed fat.
That's another name for Israel. So after all that God did for us, he said, but Jeshurun waxed fat. In other words, we got puffed up and kicked against God. He said, but Jeshurun waxed fat. What else does it say?
And kicked.
And kicked. Keep reading.
Thou art waxing fat.
Uh-huh.
Thou art grown thick.
Go ahead.
Thou art covered with fatness.
Uh-huh.
Then he forsook God, which made
but
him.
But notice what he say. He say wax fat. He waxed fat. Thou art waxing fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fat. In other words, that pride got there. That pride got in. And that's what happens, man. We got puffed up. We turned against God, sisters and brothers. So, hey, the Lord going to deal with us. And that's exactly what he did. Thou art waxing fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then what?
Then he forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
And like it tell you in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, I think, that rock that followed him, that was Christ. So a lot of people don't understand that was Jesus that actually delivered Israel out of captivity, sisters and brothers. That's the one we're kicking against. That's the same one that's going to deliver us out of this captivity again, sisters and brothers. It's going to be Jesus. But we kicked against that rock. We lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. The one that saved us, hey, we counted it as nothing, in other words. 16.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger.
Now notice what they did, though. He said what? They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, right? With abominations provoked they him to anger. Keep reading.
They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not.
Keep reading.
Of the rock that begat these thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee.
Right, so the rock that begot this nation, he said they forgot him, right? One that formed him, hey, we forgot all about him. Of the rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful, ain't even paying attention. That's just like today. We looking all over the world for answers. As soon as somebody come up that look like us, we think they the savior. All they got to do is sound good. All they got to do is sound good and put a nice Bentley next to them. That's just like that sissy boy with them contacts in his eyes. I know what I'm talking about. That dude with them contact lenses with the S curl.
Joshua.
Was it Joshua?
I think so.
Yeah, man, everybody, man, I'm like, we falling for this? But it ain't that hard, sisters and brothers. Our rock is the Lord. That's the one who's going to help us out. We got to stop looking at man. And we like to look around at other nations and see what they doing, and we want to look like them. That's why we had got a king in the first place. Jesus is our king, sisters and brothers. We don't need another king, but because we're looking at all these other nations and what they were doing, we wanted to have a king. And that made the Lord upset. Our first king was Saul. But the Lord was mad about that. We didn't need to be like everybody else, sisters and brothers. But he said, that rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee. And what happened? Verse 19.
And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them.
The Lord hated that, didn't he? When he saw it, he abhorred it. What else?
Because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
Go ahead.
And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be.
Now that's bad, ain't it? The Lord said, I'm going to hide my face from them, and I'm going to see what their end going to be. So it's like all this stuff is like he turning his head and even watching the destruction that's happening. He said, I'm going to hide my face from them, and I'm going to see what their end going to be. Keep reading, brother.
For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith.
See, that's the problem right there, though. Won't got no faith. Keep reading though. What he say?
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God.
You see that? He said they moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. Serving all these other idols and stuff like that, taking part in all these different religions like we do today. Hey, God, he didn't like it back then. He don't like it now, sisters and brothers. That's why our situation keep getting worse and worse and worse. But he said they moved me to jealousy that with that which is not God. What did he say?
They have provoked me to anger with their vanities.
Go ahead. They provoked me to anger with vanities. Keep reading.
And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people.
I told you we serve a conditional God. Haven't I been telling y'all that? We serve a God based on conditions. Y'all may think, well, God won't do that. God ain't petty like that. He just said, look, y'all provoke me to anger with serving these other gods. He said, y'all have moved me. He said, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God, right? So he said, I'm going to get you back. He said, what? They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy. With those which are not a people, I will provoke them to anger with the foolish nation. So y'all made me jealous serving all these other gods. I'm going to make y'all jealous too when I bring up another nation over you. This is our God, sisters and brothers. So now let's go look. That's it on that? Yep. Mm-hmm. Go to Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah chapter 4, because now the same nation he talking about, I'm gonna provoke, I'm gonna make y'all jealous of this nation that's coming. We gonna see who it is. Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah 4, and we're gonna pick this up at verse 1. When you get it, go ahead and read that for me, brother.
If thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, return unto me. And if thou wilt put away thy abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove. And thou shalt swear, the Lord liveth, in truth, in judgment, and in righteousness.
Now they're in the land now, sisters and brothers. And this is what the Lord is telling Jeremiah to tell the people. All right? If you return, O Israel, Lord, have mercy on us. You know, that's what the Lord always did. He have mercy on us. We go out, we get in trouble, we cry out to the Lord, he'll save us. Do it again, he'll save us again. But now at this point, look, the Lord is letting us know, if you return, O Israel, saith the Lord, unto me, if thou wilt put away thine abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove. I won't take you out of the land. That's what he's talking about. And then it got so bad, we look at Jeremiah 17, it got so bad that the Lord had got down to the point where he started bargaining. He was bargaining like, look, if you just keep the Sabbath, I won't put you out. You're already wicked as hell, but if you just keep the Sabbath, I won't put you out. That's bad, ain't that? God got to bargain with us. And the same thing going on today. We got a problem with it. And even some people in the Word be trying to finagle. Listen, you ain't going to never read in the Bible that God knew you was going to be a slave so he understand if you got to work on the Sabbath. That's a lie. You ain't got there's nowhere in the Bible that God give you no freedom to work on the Sabbath. You're going to observe it in all your dwellings, right? If he wanted you to work on the Sabbath because you're going to be a slave in America, he would have wrote that down. Believe me. He talked about how he wanted his curtains looking, talk about all the colors, all the different, sockets, how you need to, he described everything to a T. He would have described you working on the Sabbath to a T as well. He told you don't do it, didn't he? So don't let nobody tell you it's okay to work. God understand. You got to show me that. But the point is, hey, we have a problem because now God is getting ready to kick us out the land. He's been bargaining for a long time. He said, thou shalt swear the Lord in truth, live in truth and judgment and in righteousness, and the nations shall bless themselves in him, and in him shall they glory. What does it say, verse 3?
For thus saith the Lord to the men of Judah and Jerusalem,
keep reading.
Break up your fallow ground.
Talking about your mind. You're going to have to break that mind up. He said, break up your fallow ground. Keep reading.
And sow not among thorns.
Go ahead.
Circumcise yourselves to the Lord.
Right, so in other words, look, when you break up that fallow ground, in other words, humble yourself. Do what the Lord say, man. Break up that fallow ground. Get all that pride out the way. All them excuses out the way. Well, I can't be the church because I got to do this. Look, break up your fallow ground. Go and humble yourself to the Lord because he's going to get you one way or the other. He said, break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. What else?
Circumcise yourselves to the Lord.
And look, you need to be circumcised, brothers, if, in the word, because, look, you can't take the Passover without being circumcised. You can read that clearly, can't you? But, hey, this circumcision we talking about here, this concerned everybody. He said, look, circumcise yourselves to the Lord, and what else?
And take away the foreskins of your heart.
Oh, in other words, get that flesh off your heart. Get that flesh out the way, sisters and brothers. This is what he's saying to his people. Circumcise yourselves to the Lord and take away the foreskins of your heart. Get it off of your mind. Get that flesh out the way. What else?
Ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem.
If not, what's going to happen?
Lest my fury come forth like fire.
Go ahead.
and burn that none quench it. Because the evil of your doings.
That's right. Ain't nobody going to be able to stop it. And clearly, ain't nobody been able to stop what's going on now. A lot of stuff we see that the Lord talking about back then, hey, it hit them, and it's still sitting on us today. That's why Isaiah 42 lets you know the Lord has set them on fire round about, and ain't nobody laid it to heart. You think all this stuff happening to us? You think it's just like, you really think man is that powerful to take a whole nation into captivity and keep them in captivity? This got something to do with God, sisters and brothers. But ain't nobody paying God attention. We're not equating this to the Lord because he's so sweet, ain't he? Not the God of this Bible.
Right.
But what it's saying, skip down to verse 6 and read that.
Set up the standard towards Zion.
Set up the standard towards Zion. Go ahead.
Retire. Stay not.
Don't try to stay because I'm going to bring it down. Go ahead.
For I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
Notice what he said. I'm going to bring evil from the north and a great destruction, right? Because remember now, the Lord said, look, you provoked me to jealousy with strange gods. Now I'm going to provoke you to jealousy with a foolish nation, a nation wherein there is no God. So now we see in the beginning of this nation getting ready to come down. He said, what? Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not. Get out of there. Don't listen to nobody. They're going to deceive you, telling you to stay here. You better get out of here because they coming. For I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. What else? Verse 7.
The lion has come up from his thicket. And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way.
Oh, wait a minute. He said the lion has come up from his thicket, right? And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. This is the beginning of the Gentile dynasty by way of Nebuchadnezzar. He coming down to Jerusalem. He getting ready to take Israel in captivity. This is when we get ready to get plucked off the land, sisters and brothers. Because remember now, we came out of Egypt, went into the promised land, right? But before we got into the promised land, we stopped in the wilderness, didn't we? Hung out there for 40 years, got into the promised land, made the Lord upset. Hey, now the Lord is at the point where he getting ready to bring us out. And it's going to start off with the Gentile dynasty. And the first king is Nebuchadnezzar, sisters and brothers. That's why you look in Daniel chapter 7, when the Bible describes this kingdom, it starts off with the first animal being what?
Lion.
A lion. I know it. Look, we've been teaching y'all this a couple years now. Y'all should know what we're talking about, right? The first animal is what?
Lion.
Okay, thank y'all. He said, lion has come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on the way. That would be a European, sisters and brothers. Well, we call them the white man today, but now they getting ready to come into power, and they getting ready to take Israel down. The destroyer of the Gentiles on his way, he is what?
Gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate.
Go ahead.
And thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant.
And that's exactly what started happening. We went back and forth a couple times, sisters and brothers, but hey, it got down to a point where they finally got us out of there for good. But even Jesus was talking about this. Flip over to Luke chapter 19 right quick. Because Jeremiah is prophesying about it. Jesus is going to come on the scene, and he's going to let you know, hey, it's on its way as well. It's coming. Luke chapter 19, and he's going to even describe it to a point where you'll be able to go into the history books and actually see it happen just like the Lord said it was going to happen. Luke chapter 19, and we're going to pick this up at verse 41. Luke 19, verse 41, you can read that. Go ahead.
And when he was come near, he beheld the city.
This is talking about Jesus. When he came near, he beheld the city and what?
And wept over it.
Because he crying over his city. Keep reading.
Saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace.
Right, because look what he's looking at Jerusalem. You know, just weeping over it. But look, the stuff that happened to Israel, things that happened to Jerusalem and that happened to the people, it didn't have to happen, sisters and brothers. You understand? That's why he's weeping over it, but it didn't have to happen. Look, he said he was trying to, like he started off with a hen gathering the brood, right? That's what the Lord likened him trying to gather Israel, a hen gathering her brood. That's what Jesus was trying to do in the Old Testament. He sent prophets telling us to turn. Jeremiah was one of them, telling us to turn, come back to God. He didn't want this to happen. But guess what? The same one I was saying that to Jeremiah is now walking in the flesh, and he looking at Jerusalem. And he understands exactly what's about to go down after he dies and leaves. That's why he said, if thou hast known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but not what?
But now they are hid from thine eyes.
That's right. Keep reading, because look, matter of fact, before you read, we wasn't like it shouldn't have been the captivity that we're experiencing. Us being trodden down as people, it shouldn't have been that way. I mean, we got the covenant with the true and living God, sisters and brothers. The apple of his eye. Everything in the world belongs to God. Automatically, you know he's going to give it to his firstborn. That's the stuff that belonged to our peace. And Jerusalem shouldn't have been in the condition it's in. But since we disobeyed, hey, it's going to happen. What is saying in verse 43?
For the day shall come upon thee,
that
thine enemy shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side.
That's right. And we still talking about these Gentiles. That's exactly what's happening. You go look in the Roman Inquisition, well, not Inquisition, but 70 AD. That's what took place when they came in and sacked Jerusalem during the siege, sisters and brothers. But the Lord describing exactly how it's going to happen. This is why he was weeping, because he knew what was getting ready to happen, sisters and brothers. But you go in history, you will see it happening just like the Lord said it. He said, the day is going to come upon thee that thy enemies shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. So just imagine a city. And then you got an army of soldiers coming in and digging a ditch around the city where you can't get out. Digging a trench around the city where you trapped in. That's exactly what happened, sisters and brothers. Matter of fact, some history books say it was 5 miles in circumference. But you ain't getting out of it. You stuck. That's why the Lord was telling them, look, if you see this happening, you need to get out of here. If you in the mountain, don't come down here. You know, if you in the city, get out, because it's going to be a bad time. We're going to read that. But he said they're going to compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. What is saying 44?
And shall lay thee even with the ground.
That's right. They're going to flatten Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And thy children within. Within thee. And they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another. Because thou knewest not thy time of thy visitation.
That's right. So, hey, they're going to take Jerusalem completely down. Flip over to Luke 21. Next page should be. Luke 21 and verse 20. And this is the same thing now. But, hey, in this particular instance right here, they're asking the Lord when this going to happen. Matthew 24 gives you an account of these questions. When shall these things be? What shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? When in Matthew, Jesus answered, two particular questions. He was mainly dealing with the questions regarding the second coming. What shall be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? So Matthew 24, he dealt with that more in depth. Luke chapter 21, he dealt with what was mainly going to take place, regarding 70 AD. So they asked him about Luke 21, verse 20, what does it say, brother?
And we shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Now, so pay attention now. Just imagine, you're in Jerusalem, and you starting to see these armies coming surround the city, then you know that the destruction is on its way. That's what the Lord was telling them. Now, but this happened 40 years after Jesus died, sisters and brothers. He died around 30 AD. This took place in around, I think around 7 AD. This is when this happened. But he was calling it before it even happened. So he told them, look, when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is now what else?
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Right, so look, if you're in Judea, get out of there, flee to the mountains. What else?
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Right, so if you're in the midst of the city, get out of there. Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
So if you're in the country, don't go down into the city, right? Because it's a bad time. When you see these armies start compassing the city, You know it's a bad time coming, sisters and brothers. He's answering these questions. What it say?
For these be thy days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Wait a minute now. Just pay attention. He said, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written, right? Mm-hmm. But what is Jesus? Where's he getting this which are written from? Is he reading the New Testament? He getting it out of the Old Testament. But guess where? He getting it out of Deuteronomy 28. And we're going to see that. But he said, look, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Right? Mm-hmm. Go on and read. What else he say?
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land,
keep reading.
And wrath upon this people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Talking about Israel, it's going to be a bad time, just like it's going to be at the end of the world. It's almost similar, ain't it? But this particular time right here was referring to them destroying Jerusalem that time. He said, woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. What else?
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Now pay attention now, right? First off, he said they're going to fall by the edge of the sword, right? That's what's going to happen to Israel, the Lord's people. They're going to fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. So this lets you know this is talking about in the past. But hey, even God is talking about slavery, ain't he? He said they're going to be led away captive into all nations. Captive, captivity, slavery, bondage. That's exactly what happens, sisters and brothers. They're going to be led away captive into all nations. And then what did he say?
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
And the Gentiles run it, sisters and brothers. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Even though you see Esau talking all that noise, talking about the land belonging to them and all that. Look, the one who got the gun got the power. I don't care how much money Esau got. Who the Lord gave the world to? He gave it to the Gentiles. And we're going to see real soon that they finna go over there and they're going to shut everything down. Because they run it, sisters and brothers. But the Lord says it's going to happen like that until their time is what? Fulfilled. Remember, the Amorites had a time too, didn't they? He said, well, they was going to be in there for, 400 years, right? Until the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full, right? Something like that. But the point is, that previous time has something to do with the Amorites. This time right here has something to do with the Gentiles. Two totally different times, sisters and brothers. But once the Gentiles are finished, or their sin has reached its capacity, guess what? It's at an end. It's over with. Now the Lord is getting ready to come to deliver his people. And that's why you're starting to see things pick up. That's why you're starting to see Israel wake up and turn back to God. You know why? Because their time is almost over, sisters and brothers. Just like Amorites had to get taken down. When their time was over, the same thing with the Gentile. Their time is almost over with, sisters and brothers. And you watching it. We happen to be here in this particular time in history to see it unfold. So he said they're going to fall by the edge of the sword, shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28. And this is where a lot of, most people that come into the word might have got, got turned on to the truth by way of Deuteronomy, especially Deuteronomy 28, because it lays it out real clear, But the beginning of Deuteronomy, verses 1 through 14, it's going to lay out there for you the blessings. Everything that you're going to get as a nation of people, if you obey him, you keep his commandments, do what he say, hey, we're going to be straight. You're going to be blessed in the city, blessed in the field. Everything you put your hand to is going to prosper, sisters and brothers. All these different things. You read it on your own time, 1 through 14. See all them blessings that God had lined up for us. However, there is, some on the opposite end of that if you don't do what he say. And that's what we're about to read about, and they're called the curses, sisters and brothers. So we're not going to start at 15. We're just going to pick it up and move around, but we're going to start at verse 45. Read that for me, bro. What it say?
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee,
Keep reading.
and overtake thee, till thou be
Now
destroyed.
notice what it says. He said, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, right? Now, these curses going to identify somebody. They're going to sit on them, sit on these people real good that you would know without a doubt who it's talking about. But it's going to be on you till you be destroyed because what?
Thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
So evidently, look, keeping these commandments must be very important to God. Like I say, I'm not trying to say that other nations can get away with murder, but look, God didn't put, a lot of responsibility on the nations like that to, preach this gospel. It was Israel's job to preach the gospel and teach the world about him, sisters and brothers. And it's just crazy how, it'd be mainly our preachers, our black preachers in these churches telling you that you ain't got to keep the commandments. And then we wonder why we in these situations like we are. But he said what? Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. What else?
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
So they're going to sit they're going to sit on these people like white on rice. He said what? They're going to be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder. For how long?
And upon thy seed forever.
So who else is fitting up under these curses? We ain't read nothing yet, but just think about it. All we got to do is mention troubled, poor. At the bottom of the totem, well, you got Africans. They show you Africans on TV, don't they? They be showing their little big belly babies, don't they? Like they ain't got no food, don't they? But yet still they come over here and they come up. Like, who's really poor? Who's really at the bottom, sisters and brothers? We are. Esau ain't at the bottom. Esau doing good. But yet and still they sending him money. And they tripping on us with food stamps. But they send Esau money all the time, don't they? We can't get no reparation. They ain't giving us no reparation. Look, that got something to do with God, but hey, they don't even want to talk about it. If they give you reparation, that means they're going to admit that they did wrong. And the Gentiles ain't going to admit it. But that's good. Don't admit it. Pharaoh ain't want to admit he was doing wrong either, did he? And we saw how that turned out. The same exact way it's going to turn out now, sisters and brothers. But he said they're going to be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder and upon thy seed forever. What else? 47.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things.
Right, so you don't want to serve me with joyness and gladness of heart. Who you going to serve? Verse 48.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Right, so you don't want to serve me and do it with joy? Okay, well, you're going to serve your enemies then. How about that? Told you we serve a God of conditions. He said what? Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, and what?
In hunger, and in thirst,
keep reading,
and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
I was talking to a sister last week. I ain't trying to blast nobody. I ain't going to say no name. We're talking to a sister last week in Jacksonville. She said, well, I don't feel good about getting food stamps from the government. I say, girl, you better help your husband out. Y'all need some food in the house, man. Go in. You got a child. Go fill out the paperwork you need so you can make it easy on this brother. Trying to be deep. I understand Solomon. We say don't be over righteous. Why destroy yourself? Y'all sit in the house starving. All you got to do is go fill out some paperwork. All y'all looking like Ethiopia because you don't want to go get no food stamp. Being too deep, man. So you pay taxes on everything, don't you? You got a gas tax, light bill tax on everything. Well, guess what? You putting some money into the kid every time you spend that money. Go get it back. I ain't saying rob the system, but hey, if it's there to help you and you need it, don't be ashamed to do it. Because he say, look, you're going to serve your enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger. That means you're going to have to go to them for food, right? He said hunger and thirst. Notice we don't own no Walmart. You don't own Zephyr Hills. Aquafina. We don't own none of that stuff. We try to, we walking around talking about we need the alkaline water. I be seeing black, we need alkaline. Look, you don't own none of it. You got to go to Gentile of everything, sisters. He said that was going to happen, didn't he? He said hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And what's going to happen?
He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
That's right. Hey, they did that physically and spiritually. You look and see that we in bondage all over the place. Seems like we can't get up. As soon as you get ahead, they raise taxes, don't they? Don't try to get a house. Lord have mercy. You get a house for cheap and you want to stay there. They want you out. They're going to raise the taxes. That's why we think that we own our stuff. Look, they own it all. You can pay your house off. Don't pay the tax. They coming to get it. You be like, I own the house. They be like, but you don't own the land. But he say, what he going to put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. What else to say, brother?
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
Go ahead.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Read verse 51. We ain't talking about America, sisters and brothers. Brothers like to say that because of that eagle. It ain't just talking about that. Just giving you an analogy of how they coming. You know, but it ain't talking about America, sisters and brothers. Well, what it say in verse 51?
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land.
All the stuff that you don't work for, right? Talking about the stuff. This is what was going on with us and our people. He said, what? All the fruit, you know, he going to eat the fruit of thy cattle. That's supposed to be your stuff, ain't it? And the fruit of thy land, that's the stuff that you worked for. He's going to take all that until you be destroyed. What else to say?
Which also shall not leave thee, either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he had destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates. Until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustedest, throughout all thy land.
Right, because that's what's going to come. That's what Jesus was telling you about, sisters and brothers. When this nation come, they come to take Israel down. But remember, he said all the things that was written going to be fulfilled. Now, it's, you know, when Jesus was talking, that's what he was referring to, sisters and brothers. All that stuff that was written, it's going to happen now. But they come and they're going to besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trusted, throughout all thy land, and he going to do what?
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
Go ahead.
In the siege.
In the siege. That's talking about 70 AD. Well, look, you ain't going to be able to take care of them. The stuff you supposed to use to feed them, you're going to be trying to eat it. Because you ain't got nothing left. That sounds like today, though. Thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. What he say?
So that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
Right, and you know, like I say, you still kind of see some of these characteristics around today. Where man can't even take care of his family because, you know, he got a foot on his neck. Can't take care of his own kid. Then he said, the man that is tender among you, very delicate, his eye going to be even toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. More specifically talking about during the time of 7 AD, but you still see some of like the after effects of that going on today, because we still poor, sisters and brothers. You can barely even feed your own self. And then it's like we can't just be regular brothers coming up together. I mean, you look at the rap game. I mean, that's like I don't know what you call that now. They just killing each other now, ain't they? You think they be living good and okay. They just shooting each other now. Like, I mean, went from crack cocaine to the rap game now. Everybody just killing each other now. But it's just like we can't live in peace at all. I don't care what we do. Look at each other funny. Somebody step on your shoes, got a problem, ride by each other in the car, can't even look at a brother and show that wave or nothing like that. He's just looking at me, but as soon as the white man come, hi, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, we so hypocritical, man. Yes, sir. But we've been programmed that way. And we hate it, exactly. Our evil toward each other, sisters and brothers. But what it say in verse, keep reading verse 55.
So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat.
That's right. He ain't going to give them nothing. Go ahead and read.
Because he had nothing left him in the siege.
Right, because he ain't got nothing left. Remember, when they came into Jerusalem, they dug that trench around the city, sisters and brothers. And what that caused to happen, it wasn't no food able to get inside the city. They ain't there starving. So how you going to take care of his kid? He ain't going to be able to do nothing. But the Lord was even talking about that. But see, like I said earlier, look, hey, this ain't have to happen. It happened, though. This is why, this is the, you know, like the beginning of us getting ready to come down as a people. But we ain't going to stay there. That's why this is called the second Exodus. because he's going to bring us out of this situation and deliver us once again, just like he did in Egypt, sisters and brothers. But go and skip down to verse 60. What else to say? We just reading some of these curses. Verse 60, go ahead.
Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law.
Right, because he said everything that happened in Egypt, all them diseases, they're gonna get on you. And then everything that ain't written in the book, they're going to be on you too. It's funny how we have all the different things that happen, you know, as far as high blood pressure, diabetes, all the different things that happen. Hey, it covers us more than anything, don't it? But the Lord said that was going to happen, sisters and brothers. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. So one thing we need to learn, you know, we have to pay attention to where our issue is really at. It's not with man, is it? The problem is, you know, our problem is between God and Israel. You know, we made a covenant with God. Our forefathers made a covenant. You know, they dropped the ball, and the Lord is tearing that seed up. And we still, you know, dropping the ball. We're waking up now, and that's a blessing to see. But for the most part, a lot of damage has been done, sisters and brothers. But what he's saying, verse 62, these things gonna follow you until you be destroyed. What else?
And ye shall be left few in number.
You notice what we call the minority, right? He said you're gonna be left few in number. Keep reading.
Whereas you were as the stars of heaven, for multitude.
Go ahead, but I'm gonna cut you down. Now you used to be as the stars of heaven, but now you're few in number. Because what?
Because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God.
That's the problem, sisters and brothers. Obedience. That's what the Lord wants. He ain't worried about all that lip service, all that calling on the Lord and stuff like that. The Lord is more concerned about your actions. Lord is more concerned about you doing what he says, and that's keeping the commandments. That's what he's concerned about. Gonna come to pass that, read that, I'm sorry.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
So the Lord was happy. Right? He said it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good. He was happy to do good for us, right? And set us up. He talked about it in Ezekiel chapter 16, how he decked us and all them ornaments and gold and stuff like that. We had the top, the choicest food, the top quality stuff. Worrying about Gucci. Hey, God had gave us stuff that can't no man imagine, sisters and brothers. You fighting over that. Lord, we acting like we got stocks in Gucci or something.
Right.
But look, God was happy about blessing us as a people, and because we made him upset, now what'd he say? It's in the middle of 63. Right. It shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so what?
So the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
You see that? He said he's gonna rejoice over you to destroy you. Talking about God. I can't imagine how he's doing it. But he just sent a destruction, sisters. I don't know if he's laughing or clapping. I don't know. But he said he's going to rejoice over our destruction. And that's bad right there, sisters and brothers. People don't like to read this. It makes sense why they say stay out the Old Testament on it. You get to the New Testament, it's grace, 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 grace. And, you know, shut up Revelation. We don't want to read it. We can't understand that. They don't want to read that. Because they call it gloom and doom. No, it's the same God, though. But look, when he came in the New Testament, he was having some mercy. Not to say that he was just going to excuse everybody and let you live how you want to live. Hey, he came to die. Now everybody got a shot at life now. But there's still a consequence for sin, sisters and brothers. And that's what we're missing. The same God. But we don't want to read about him, do we? They ain't going to read about this God tomorrow. They're not going to even talk about a God tomorrow. They're going to talk about Joel Osteen, him and his daddy going fishing. And Creflo going to give you some motivational speech about prosperity. That's it. That's all you get. And you go to church and get garbage. That's why you can't open it. You can't sit down and open the Bible with these people in these Sundays. Not everybody, but for the most part, you can't because you ain't getting nothing out of there. Here it is. We at the end of the world. The Lord is getting ready to come back, and all we're worrying about is money. What happened to salvation? What about the lake of fire? What about Armageddon? What about trumpets? So if you ain't, those watching online, you got to start asking some questions because time is winding up, sisters and brothers. But it say what? The Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to naught. And what's going to happen?
And you shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which thou neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
But he said that. Didn't Jesus say that? Jesus has said he said they're going to be led away captive into all nations. Didn't he say that? Now you seeing where he get it from because it said, the things which are written may be fulfilled. But now you seeing it. This is where he got it from. He said what? The Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. But who is that happening to? Because remember now, it's going to be on you for a sign and a wonder, right? Mm-hmm. So, hey, you should be able to look, okay, well, who got scattered? Because people like to say, well, Chinese people got scattered. Come on now, let's be serious. Chinese people can go right back to China. Mexicans, they can go right back to Mexico, right? Europeans, white people, they can go back to where they came from. Italians can go back, sisters and brothers. Africans, Canaanites, Ethiopians, they can go back, can't they? So if they might have, dealt with a little bit of, atrocities and stuff like that, even with the Holocaust, they have their little things they dealt with. But who's still dealing with it, though? Who still can't go back home? If there was a proclamation right now saying, everybody go home, what y'all gonna do? I'm staying here. I'm waiting on the Lord, sisters and brothers. Because I know I ain't welcome in Israel, and I wouldn't want to go back there right now anyway. Wait for the Lord to get back and set it up. At least we know that. Most people, most African Americans, they don't know that. Well, I was born in Mississippi. Well, that ain't home. But skip down to verse 6 because he said they're going to be scattered, right? How's that going to happen? Read that. What it say?
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So, hey, he going to scatter you. That's what he said. Now he's letting you know how it's going to take place. He said the Lord going to send you into Egypt again with ships. Our first Egypt was when we came out. Our first Egypt is when we was in bondage to Pharaoh and stuff like that. And the Lord delivered us out of that. Egypt being, being house of bondage. So he said the Lord going to bring thee into Egypt again. That means I'm going to take you back into Egypt. If you disobey these commandments, I'm going to scatter you throughout the world, and I'm going to take you back into Egypt. But the way I'm going to take you, I'm taking you by ships. Who went into captivity by ships? It ain't like it's hidden. Everybody know about it. The transatlantic slave trade, right? Everybody know about it. They even got something on the map called the slave coast. Where they got the slaves from, sisters and brothers. But you ain't going to see that with nobody else. When they look at us as Africans or Americans or Jamaicans or Haitians, they tie slavery to you, sisters and brothers. Because it's for a sign and for a wonder. This don't happen to the people that call themselves Jews. That's just a lie, sisters and brothers. And the Lord going to settle all that real soon. But he said, when I'm going to send you in Egypt again with ships. And what else? What else to say?
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
And that's exactly how we got here. Keep reading.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Go ahead.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
Right? Because when you get there, you're going to be sold to your enemies, not friends. He called them enemies. Not to say that, I just want you to understand, like, don't expect you to come over here and have the upper hand. We at the bottom. We just have to deal with it until our captivity ends, sisters and brothers. But you're going to be sold into your enemies for what?
For bondmen.
That's a male slave. Keep reading.
And for bondwomen.
And that's a female slave. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
Right. So look, Jakes, Creflo, Martin Luther King did a great job trying to fight for us. Malcolm X did his thing. But guess what? Jesus is the one that's going to redeem this people. Yes, sir. He's saying no man going to buy you. Evidently, you're going to be sold, right? He said that first, didn't he? He said, what? You're going to be sold to your enemies. So that's the first thing we have to understand. So when he come right behind and say nobody going to buy you, he just talking about ain't nobody going to redeem you or set you free from that position that you in of being sold. Ain't nobody going to do it. The one who's responsible for us in this position in the first place is the one that's going to be responsible for setting us free, and that's Jesus, sisters and brothers. That's what we have to understand. However, the Lord ain't completely wiped his people out. You know, like I say, even though the conditions are bad, he's still having mercy on us, and that's what Paul had to let them know. Flip over to Romans chapter 11. Because you start getting comfortable after a while. If you beat people down and you beat them down, it's just like, well, hey, it's our right to beat them down. But now, look, God got us in a position because we disobeyed God, but it ain't going to be like this forever. Romans chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at verse 1. Then we're going to skip down to verse 6. Romans chapter 11. What is it saying in verse 1, brother? Go ahead.
I say then, hath God cast away his people?
Notice what he said. Now, that's a question, right? As Paul is writing a letter to the Gentiles, Israel, they get some of it too, but the point is mainly to Gentiles here in Romans. And he says here, I say then, have God cast away his people? Because when he write these letters, he know what question going to be gendered in their mind. So he asked it ahead of time. He said, I say then, have God cast away his people? What did it say?
God forbid.
God forbid. No, God ain't cast away. And this is the New Testament. God ain't cast away his people. What Paul say, brother?
For I also am an Israelite
Keep reading.
of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Right, so the one that's talking to you, Gentile, that would be Paul himself. But notice what he say. Hey, look, I'm an Israelite, right? God didn't cast away his people. I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. But what it say in verse 6, because what in between that it just talk about regardless of how it looked, Elijah thought the same thing in his day. When all the prophet was taken down, he thought he was the only one alive. Lord let him know, look, I got some prophets who ain't here that ain't bowing the knee to Baal. Just like now today, I got a remnant that is still here, sisters and brothers. Go on and read what it says in verse 6, though.
And if by grace, then it is no more of works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace. Otherwise.
Because he let them know, look, it's by grace that I have, a remnant that is still here. So he's saying, if by grace it is no more, then it is no more work, sisters and brothers. Go ahead.
Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace.
Right. So look here. In other words, and I know you probably, some people get confused with Paul's writing. But really, look, if it's of works that's going to save you, then what Jesus came to do, then it was unnecessary. If it's works that's going to save you. And that's not what's going to save you, sisters and brothers. You're going to have faith. You're going to have this grace, though. I like to give the example of Abraham. Abraham kept the law, didn't he? Kept the commandment. Tell you that, Genesis 26, but he's still dead, ain't he?
Right.
That we need something greater than that. We need Jesus to come and shed his blood for our sins. Because there's a law out there that lets you know that the wage of sin is death. So once sin has already taken place, somebody got to die. However, there was not a man on the earth perfect for God, the Father, to accept. So he had to send his son, Jesus. You had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it. That was the grace, sisters and brothers, that the Lord sent. So if your work's going to save you, then what is the grace for? So that's why he's saying, if by grace, then it is no more of works. It was grace that allows this opportunity at salvation. Not say you ain't got to do no work, but just understand, look, like I said, Abraham kept the law too, but he still died. He's still in the grave. So what's going to remove this death off of us? Jesus coming to die and shed his blood. Now we have an opportunity at everlasting life, sisters and brothers. So he said, otherwise grace is no more grace, but if it be of works, then is it no more grace. Otherwise work is no more work. What is saying in verse 7?
What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it.
Go ahead.
And the rest were blinded.
That's right, and that's what you see going on today. Hey, Israel is still here. Everybody ain't got it right now. Whoever the Lord wanted to have it, they have it. That's why some of us waking up. But everybody going to get up really until the Lord get back. That's when he say he's going to take the veil off the nations. That's when they going to see it. But what it say in verse 11? Just showing you, hey, that they still here. What it say in verse 11, though?
I say then, have they all stumbled that they should fall?
Now just think about that. That's a good question, ain't it, right? Have they stumbled that they should fall? Is there any hope for them? Are they going to always be down, or is there a possibility of coming back? I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? What else?
God forbid.
Keep reading.
but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
Look, God got to bring Israel back. You know? So that's why I say then that through their fall, salvation is come to the Gentiles. Because the Lord can't just leave Israel hanging. He made a covenant with Abraham, didn't he? So, hey, it's like if I'm giving them an opportunity, even though they done messed up, now I'm going to open the door for the Gentiles and I'll have an opportunity as well. You see? I say then have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation has come to the Gentiles to do what?
For to provoke them to jealousy.
Oh, wait a minute. To do what?
Provoke them to jealousy.
Because the Lord said he was going to do that, didn't he? He said, you provoke me to jealousy with a strange God. I'm going to provoke you to jealousy with a foolish nation. A nation in whom there is no God. They ain't got no God. That's why even Paul told you in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, I believe, is 11 or 10? He said, with the Gentiles sacrifice the devils. That's 10. 10 to 20. Right. He said, hey, the Gentiles sacrifice the devils. They ain't got no God, sisters and brothers. There's only one true and living God. Yes, that's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But since you made me upset, I'm going to bring up over you a foolish nation. And that's exactly what he did. He said what? For to provoke them to jealousy. But go and read verse 16 for me. Because like verse 15, it said, for if the casting away of them, talking about Israel, be the reconciling of the world, because that's what's going to happen. Because look, like I say, when Israel got kicked out, or Israel, when the Lord did away with Israel for that time period, if it was over with, then nobody got a shot at it. Because that's his firstborn, them his people. Ain't nobody has a shot at it. However, for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, why is he going to reconcile the world? Because he's going to bring Israel back. So like I say, he's going to have mercy on everybody else as well then. That don't do away with the order, though. That's what we have to understand. Just because the Lord allowed other nations to receive salvation, that does not change the position. And sometimes we get a little puffed up and get out of line. And I know Israel can drop the ball, and sometimes we don't got our stuff in order. That don't give you a right to take the position of Israel. That don't mean nothing. You got to talk with God. God gave it to Israel, and it's their job to preach this gospel to the world. But he say, for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? And that's exactly what you see happening too. But go ahead and read.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy.
Keep reading.
And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
That's right, and this is what we're part of, sisters and brothers. We're part of that tree, sisters and brothers. Naturally. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy, and if the root be holy, so are the branches. Jesus being the root, he holy. We're part of that. Israel is. What else you say, brother?
And if some of the branches be broken off.
And that's what happened. Some of the branches got broken off. That don't mean we lost our position. That's why just think about it. Even though some of the branches got broken off, still the Lord ain't given to no other nations to do it. Because if that's the case, the word would have been going forth. And what we got right now, that is not the word, sisters and brothers. Because, hey, some of them got broken out. The Lord ain't cut off his people. That's what Paul was talking about when he first started off, didn't he? He said, God forbid. He ain't cut off his people. What did he say in 17, though?
And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, will graft in among them.
Talking about the Gentiles. If you being a wild olive tree, if some of the branches got broken off, that's what happened. Israel is the branch. They are part of the tree, which is holy. Some of those branches got broken off, and what that did was that allowed the Gentiles, which is that wild olive tree, to be grafted in. Go on and read. What it say, brother?
And with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree.
Right, so with them you are partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree. What?
Boast not against the branches.
Notice what he say now. He say, boast not against the branches. You were grafted in, so don't boast against the branches now. Naturally Israel is a part of the tree. You got grafted in, so don't boast against the branches. Go ahead and read. What else, brother?
But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root.
Keep reading.
But the root thee.
That's right. So he let them know, don't be boasting now. Don't get high-minded, puffed up, which is exactly what they've done. That's why the Roman Catholic Church say they the mother church, don't they? But that position don't belong to them, sisters and brothers. It belongs to Israel. He said, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. What else?
Thou will say then, the branches were broken off.
Paul cut them, ain't he? He hit them before they even. Keep in mind, this is a letter that Paul is writing. So it ain't like, he's sitting there having a conversation. Ain't like he picked up on the cell phone and he could talk to them. Not even a rotary phone. This is a letter he's writing. And he beat them to the punch before it even come out their mind. That's why it's a letter. He sent it to them, and they reading it, and, that thought might come up. That's why he say, thou will say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. And Paul's going to turn around as if he's sitting there talking to him. What'd he say?
Well.
He said, well, no, that ain't why. Well, because of what?
Of unbelief, they were broken off.
Right, that's why Israel got broken off. He said, not because, so you can get it. No, they got broken off because of unbelief. Israel did. Go ahead and read.
They were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear.
That's right, and you stand by faith, but look, be not high-minded. Don't get puffed up, but fear. What else it say?
For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also lest he spare not thee. Behold, therefore.
Now you see that, right? You say, look now, for if God spared not the natural branches, if he didn't spare his own people, he said, take heed now, lest he also spare not thee. Just like he knocked them down, took Israel out, he'll do the same thing to us. I mean, to you, sisters and brothers, as far as Gentiles are concerned. And that's what he's writing to. Go ahead.
Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God.
So he said, look at it or pay attention to it. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God, what?
On them which fell, severity.
Right, and that's what happened to Israel. Punishment came on us, on them which fell, severity. Go ahead and read.
But toward thee, goodness.
Right, that's why I say, behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God. Pay attention to the different attributes that God has. He has goodness and he has severity. Severity fell on Israel and goodness fell on the Gentiles. How? Because when Israel fell and that punishment came on them, that opened up the door for the Gentiles to now get salvation as well. So he said, but toward thee goodness if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, what's going to happen?
Thou also shalt be cut off.
That's right. Hey, so the Lord will cut you off too if you don't continue in his goodness. Go ahead and read.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief.
Right, so and if Israel turn and don't continue in this unbelief, he'll bring them back. That's why he's saying they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall what?
Shall be grafted in.
Keep reading.
For God is able to graft them in again.
Hey, the Lord will bring them back, right? And that's what you're starting to see. We waking up. Lord starting to bring us back to life. He bringing us back, sisters and brothers. He grafting in the branches back in. But he's able to do that. Verse 24.
For if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted in contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree?
So look here. He say, look, if you being you coming from a wild olive tree, and in Israel being naturally a part of the tree, if he can put you in and put you in, it's nothing for him to bring that natural branch and put them in the tree. You from a wild olive tree, and he put you inside the tree. So it's nothing for him to take those natural branches and put them back. That's what he's saying right here. Go ahead and read. What does it say? Verse 25.
For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery.
He said, look now, I don't want you to be ignorant of this mystery. What?
Lest you should be wise in your own conceits.
Because you're going to get puffed up if you do. Don't be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits. What?
That blindness in part is happened to Israel.
Until when?
Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
Oh, wait a minute now. It sounds like the Amorites, don't it? That time the iniquity of the Amorites had to be fulfilled or full. Just like with Israel and their captivity right now, we waiting on somebody else's time to be full, right? That's why he says here, I would that you should not be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits. That blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So it said blindness in part. That's why some of us start to wake up, but you still have some that are blind, right? But once it's all over here, in the Old Testament, the Lord said He's gonna take remove the veil off the nations anyway. But what He said in verse 26?
And so all Israel shall be saved.
That's right. So now we like to say, well, just understand there's gonna be a lot of destruction that's gonna take place on this earth. When it's all said and done, Israel gonna be saved. This ain't just talking about you can live like a hell and you're gonna be saved, sisters and brothers. Because you have brothers out there cussing people out, and just let them know white people can't be saved. You ain't getting salvation. Calling people names, then you turn around saying all Israel gonna be saved. All the dirt we doing, really? He ain't talking about like that, sisters and brothers. After it's all said and done, hey, that's when all Israel gonna be saved. But the point is, look, God gonna redeem His people, ain't He? He gonna save His people, sisters and brothers. What else to say?
And so shall all Israel be saved, as it is written.
Go ahead.
There shall come out of Sion the deliverer.
Wait a minute, we need a deliverer, don't we? That's what we needed last time, didn't we? It's going to come out of Zion, the deliverer. What else?
And shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob.
We won't be living like we live now, sisters and brothers. But, hey, we got a deliverer coming, sisters and brothers. Just like last time. Let's flip over to Galatians chapter 4 right quick. And before we look at the end of this, I just want to show y'all something. Galatians chapter 4. We're going to pick this up at verse 22. Because I had a few people ask me about Galatians 4, but I just want to look at it because it's called, the second wilderness to the wilderness, then Jerusalem. And, hopefully Galatians is kind of cleared up a little bit why we got to stop in the wilderness first. So what it say in Galatians 4 and verse 22? Read that for me.
For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman.
Okay, so y'all know about that? Abraham had two sons. One of them was from Hagar. That was Ishmael. She was the bondwoman. She was, she was Sarah's handmaid, right? Okay. And then Sarah had a son, which is Isaac. But Sarah was free, right? Okay, and that was based on the promise, right? Because remember, Abraham slept with Hagar based on what Sarah said. You can take my handmaid to wife. He slept with her. They had Ishmael, but God was like, nah, you're going to have a child from Sarah. That's the child of the promise, right? Isaac is, okay? Hagar is the bondwoman. And Ishmael is the son of the bondwoman, okay? Just make sure we understand it as we move forward. What it say in verse 23, brother?
But he who was of the bondwoman.
So who was of the bondwoman?
Ishmael.
Ishmael was under. No, I say he who was. So who was of the bondwoman? Y'all said it. Say it again. Ishmael. Okay. He who was of the bondwoman was born after what?
The flesh.
The flesh, right? Because there wasn't no promise involved in that right there. That was something they decided to do themselves, right? It's just like, you know what? I can't have no child. Just gonna take her. But that ain't what God set up. Wasn't no covenant involved with Ishmael. And we want to be Muslims. That's their religion. That ain't got nothing to do with us. All right, but he who was of the bondman was born after the flesh, but he what?
But he of the free woman was by promise.
And who was of the free woman?
Isaac.
Isaac was of the free woman, sisters and brothers. He came out of Sarah. And notice what it said at the end of that. It said it was by promise, right? Because that's what the covenant was, the covenant was concerning. The Lord told him they was going to have a child. And that was Isaac. It had nothing to do with Ishmael, okay? But what it said in verse 24?
Which things are an allegory.
Okay, now, so you have some people that, say that allegories, it means it didn't happen. Not necessarily allegory don't mean that. Allegory can mean like almost like a parable, or like or example of an example. So it says, which things are an allegory, right? Go ahead.
For these are the two covenants.
Okay, so now it's going to explain. It's going to kind of give you this analogy. That's what another word for allegory can mean, or is an analogy. So this analogy of Isaac and Ishmael is also kind of showing you something else when it comes to the wilderness and Jerusalem, okay? That's why it says which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants, right? Got two covenants. The one from where?
From the Mount Sinai,
The one from Mount Sinai, keep reading.
which gendereth the bondage,
Uh-huh.
which is Agar.
Which is Hagar, right? That's just the translation. So it said the one from Mount Sinai, which genders to bondage, which is Hagar. What?
For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
Right. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai. See how it's giving you an example? So Hagar would be an example of Mount Sinai, which what?
In Arabia.
In Arabia. Keep reading.
And answer to Jerusalem.
And answer to Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Which now is and is in bondage.
Right. So Jerusalem would be an example of who? If Mount Sinai is Hagar,
Isaac.
then Jerusalem would be who?
Isaac.
Sarah, right? What'd you say?
I said Isaac.
Lord
My
Jesus.
bad. Okay, I'm tripping.
It's all good. All right, so if Hagar would be an example of Mount Sinai, and Jerusalem would be Sarah, right? Right. So Mount Sinai, it's almost like it's kind of letting you know that you're still in bondage, because it don't stop right there. The process, you got the covenant and stuff from, got a covenant even in the wilderness, right? But what happened? You still got killed in the wilderness, didn't you? You know, you got to make that full transition off into the promised land, sisters and brothers. It don't stop right there. But like you say here, for this Hagar or Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, an answer to Jerusalem, which what?
Which now is
Uh-huh.
and is in bondage with her children.
Right, because look, we ain't got over there yet, have we? We still in captivity. We ain't back in the promised land. But we know that, hey, that's the ultimate goal to get where? The ultimate goal is to get where? Where's the promised land at? Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. That's the ultimate goal. Are we there now? We ain't there right now, sisters. That's why it's still in bondage. So for this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, an answer to Jerusalem. Just like Hagar had to answer to Sarah, that was an allegory or an example or an analogy of how Mount Sinai has to answer to Jerusalem. In other words, when you in Mount Sinai, that's not your stopping place. That's why I titled it the second Exodus to the wilderness. That's the first stop, but you ain't completed the process right there. You still got to get where? To Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. And that's all this is showing you in Galatians, right? So now what does it say? Verse 26.
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
But Jerusalem, which is above, she's above Hagar, or Sarah was above Hagar, or Jerusalem is above Mount Sinai. Even though she's in bondage right now, she is free, because overall, when it's said and all said and done, that's the ultimate place right there, not the wilderness. Go on and read.
Which is the mother of us all.
That's right. So now let's move a little further. Isaiah chapter 11. We're going to wrap it up. Isaiah chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at verse 1. Isaiah 11 and verse 1. Because we're going to do it all over again. We're going to got to take us a stop in the wilderness once again, sisters and brothers. And then we heading over to the promised land. Isaiah chapter 11, pick this up at verse 1. What did that say, brother?
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding,
Go ahead.
the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord.
Right, and this is talking about Jesus, sisters and brothers. This is what it's referring to. And what's going to happen, verse 3?
And shall make him of a quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears.
Right, not like man, though. But it said what it's going to come forth, a rod out of the stem of Jesse. I'll be the father of David. And it's just really just talking about Jesus down the line coming. And a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding. That's what he had when he came. They was even amazed at him being able to talk with the people, the lawyers and stuff like that in the temple at a young age. I think 12 years old, they was amazed at the knowledge that he had. But he was born this way. He was made of a quick understanding from a child up. So not like your normal child, you know. He knew right out the gate. It wasn't like a normal child. That's why I say he was made of a quick understanding and in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. Go ahead and read.
But with righteousness shall he judge the poor.
Right, so with righteousness, that's what he brings into the world. He's going to bring some righteousness and righteous judgment, sisters and brothers, right? But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and what else?
And reprove with equity for the meek of the earth.
Keep reading.
And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked.
Right, all he's going to do is say it. Then he's going to tell you about how, we looked at a few weeks ago, how the ox going to lay down, with the lion and stuff like that. Wolf going to dwell with the lamb, all that type of stuff. But skip down verse 11. We already saw that a few weeks ago, but that's what's going to happen when he returns. But what he's saying in verse 11 about gathering his people, though. Read that.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Wait a minute. He going to do what?
Recover the remnant of his people.
He says it's going to come to pass in that day that the Lord going to set his hand again. The what time?
The second time.
The second time. Why we got a second time that he going to do this? Because it's going to happen again. That's what we're missing out on, sisters and brothers. We just think that we die, we're going off to heaven. Look, Lord, we ain't got to go out. The Lord ain't got to take us off the earth nowhere, sisters and brothers. The Lord going to come down to this earth and beat man up in his face. That makes it seem like God is scared. He got to come down and grab us and then run up to heaven right quick. He going to come down and tear this world up, and he's going to sit here and rule from Jerusalem. But he going to do it again. That's what it says. It's going to come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. What else it say?
Which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt,
Go ahead.
and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
Right, and these are different places where Israel is scattered at, sisters and brothers. Not just America. We everywhere. Anyway. We got scattered into the four corners. Even over in Egypt and all that, those black nations we was reading about, we still there. Over in America, off in the islands and stuff like that, we still there. We still in these places. That's why he got to come and recover us, sisters and brothers, a second time. What it say in verse 12?
He shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
Wait a minute, he going to do what? He going to assemble the outcasts of Israel. Go ahead.
And gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Right, so Judah ain't just in America, are they? And people be like, Judah in America, brothers be walking around, I'm Judah. You don't know that. First off, the Lord discontinued us from our heritage. Another thing is he say, what? I'm going to gather Judah from the four corners of the earth. We got scattered everywhere, sisters and brothers. But the Lord going to come back and recover his people. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah chapter 31. Almost done. Jeremiah 31. I'm going to pick this up at verse 8. Jeremiah 31 and verse 8. All right, go ahead and read that for me.
Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come up.
That's another Exodus right there, don't he? He said a great company going to come hither, shall return thither. But that's what Exodus means, just a mass, departure. And that's exactly what's going to happen this time. The Lord going to come and gather us from all over the world, sisters and brothers. But wherever we at, I'm going to bring them from the north country, gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child and her that travail with child together. With child and her that travail with child together, a great company shall return thither. They should come with what?
With weeping and with supplication will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of water in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn.
Oh, look at that, though. But the Lord going to do it all over again, sisters and brothers. And that's the same thing he told, he had Moses tell Pharaoh, look, he said, you don't let my firstborn go, so I'm going to kill your firstborn. And sometimes he'll interchange Israel and Ephraim and stuff like that. Even with Judah, he'll interchange that as well, just like with Paul. When he said, have they cast away the Jews? And he told them, nah, I myself am an Israelite, right? You know, so sometimes that'll be interchanged. But the point is, look, Israel is the Lord's firstborn. And that also indicates that, hey, it's some more that can also be a part of the family as well. He just starts it off with Israel, sisters and brothers. What does it say in verse 10?
Hear the word of the Lord,
Uh-huh.
O ye nations, and declare in the isles afar off,
Uh-huh. Declare it all over the world. Declare it in the isles afar off, what?
and say, He that scattered Israel
Go
will
ahead.
gather him, and keep him, as a shepherd doeth his flock.
Uh-huh. So, hey, the same one that scattered us, going to bring us back. He said, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock for what?
For the Lord hath redeemed Jacob,
Uh-huh.
and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he.
Right, look, and that's exactly what we have to understand. The situation that we in, sisters and brothers, we ain't going to be able to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes we see different things that happen, and they kind of motivates us to try to come together. I remember a few years ago when I can't remember which one it was, but you know, it was just a lot of killings back to back to back by a lot of police that was taking out a lot of brothers. And I seen, you know, people just leaving the Sunday churches that I knew, going to Egyptology meetings and stuff like that, like they was going to, you know, form up. I mean, it was hundreds of people. It's people I knew that was actually going to these meetings, you know, trying to, you know, these different events was making them feel like we need to do something. But now it done dwindled down. It done died out now. And why is that? Because we're in a situation where this man is more powerful than us, sisters and brothers. And that's what he said right here. He said, for the Lord have redeemed Jacob. He has freed Jacob. That's what's going to happen. He had freed Jacob, or redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was what?
Stronger than he.
That was stronger than he. So how are you going to be able to beat somebody that's stronger than you? You know, that's why when it's all said and done, look, our job is just to preach the gospel. When the Lord come back, hey, he gonna handle things the way he gonna do it. And that's what we have to be comfortable with, just being able to just wait on the Lord. But Ezekiel chapter 20, because he going to gather us, but where we going at? We seeing how he going to gather us and bring us out of the lands of the north and all the different places we were scattered at. But where we going? Where we going to stop at? Ezekiel chapter 20. We're going to pick this up at verse 33. Ezekiel 20 and verse 33. Go and read that for me.
As I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered.
So the Lord talking about gathering us. That's on his mind. That's on the Lord's mind. That's what we have to understand. We missing this. Not us here, but I'm just saying this is what mainly we missing as a people. We looking for other things. We really want to die and go to heaven. But hey, the Lord bringing heaven to the earth, sisters and brothers. But he says, I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out will I rule over you. Go ahead and read.
And I will bring you out from the people.
Hey, what people though? Remember we got scattered everywhere, right? He said, I'm going to bring you out from the people. Now this is, you know, this Exodus, Egypt, what we read about earlier, that's already happened. This is something that's going to take place during our time, sisters and brothers. This is what we're reading about. So he said, I'm going to bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered with what?
With a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
Right, so he gathering us. Now where are we going? Are we going back into the promised land? Are we going into Jerusalem? Is that it? What it say though in verse 35?
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
Oh, wait a minute. He going to take you where?
The wilderness of the people.
He said, I'm going to bring you into the wilderness of the people. Like I told you, you ain't going into Jerusalem. You got to stop, and we got to stop in the wilderness first. He said, I'm going to bring you into the wilderness of the people. What else?
And there will I plead with you face to face.
Right, because see, that's where it go down at. It go down, it's going to happen, everything going down in the wilderness. We're not talking about the immortals and stuff like that. We talking about the ones who don't make that, happen to be alive after the Great Tribulation, and you know, you still flesh and blood, you get gathered, you're going out to the wilderness. You gotta talk with God face to face. Moses ain't gonna be there to do it. It's gonna be God himself. You know what he putting out there? He put out them commandments. And you know what? Once again, some of our people ain't gonna want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. 36.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness.
Oh, so he's taking it back to a previous time, ain't he? He said, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of what?
Of the land of Egypt.
Oh, okay, so that lets you know it's a different time. But he just letting you know, hey, just like I did back then, I'm going to do it again this time. Just like I pleaded with your fathers back then, I'm going to plead with you this time. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God. And what else he going to do?
And I will cause you to pass under the rod.
Uh-huh.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
Oh, wait a minute. You got a covenant there, don't you? Going to pass under the rod, bring you into the bond of the covenant. Because we got to understand, we not escaping this covenant. Lord going to put them laws out there. You know, either you're going to agree to it or you don't. If you don't agree to it, what's going to happen? What is saying 38?
And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
Right, so don't look at purge as a nice word. That just means I'm going to kill you. That's all we talking. He going to kill you. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to purge out from among you the rebels. What else?
And them that transgress against me.
Look, because the Lord got a problem with sin. That's what transgression is. You ain't going to break God's law and think you getting into the promised land. We're going to have to settle all this stuff in the wilderness. That's where it's going to be all worked out at before we walk into the promised land. So he said, I'm going to purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. What else?
I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn.
Wherever we at. All over the world. I mean, we got scattered. He said, the same one that scattered them going to gather them. But we got scattered all over the world, didn't we? Because I told you somebody that preached that America, he ain't gathered in America. Like, somebody actually preaches that. In the word, well, in the truth. And they say that. GOCC. They say that God ain't coming to America. You know, it wasn't a lot of slaves dropped off here, right? You know, a lot of Israelites waking up in America first, been preaching here, and you know, you think about it, most of the word that's getting spread out throughout the world is really jumping off in America, ain't it? You mean to tell me he ain't gonna come here and get us? I mean, hopefully we make that, get them bodies. I'm just saying that don't make sense, though. That's a part of being scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. He said the wilderness is South America. I say, Lord have mercy. That don't make no sense. But he said, I'm going to purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And what else?
And they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
Oh, you see that? You ain't getting into the land of Israel. If you ain't going to get it right in the wilderness, there's no way you walking into the promised land. It's not going to happen. Lord sorting everything out in the way. But didn't he do the same thing last time? Mm-hmm. The same exact thing. They couldn't go into that promised land. They had to sit in that wilderness. They rebelled. He killed them off. His son, they kids had to wait 40 years, before they can walk into that promised land. Ain't gonna be that long this time, but just showing you it ain't just a straight shot off into Israel, off into the promised land. It's gonna stop in that wilderness. So he said, I'm gonna purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. What does it say?
And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Go into Isaiah chapter 60. Isaiah 60, 3 more places after this and we'll be done. Isaiah 60, we're going to pick this up at verse 4. Just want to show you how the Lord going to hook this thing up in the wilderness. How you going to have everything you need. You ain't got to worry about taking nothing over there. You ain't going to have nothing anyway, probably after the Great Tribulation anyway, so you ain't got to worry about that. But the Lord going to make sure everybody good over there. When he bring his people back, they're going to be all right. Isaiah 60, verse 4, what that say, bro?
Lift up thine eyes round about, and see. All they gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side.
That's right, keep reading.
Then thou shalt see, and flow together, and thy heart shall fear, and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee.
That's right. Just like we took down Egypt and stuff like that, and they was giving us stuff back then when we was coming out of Egypt, same thing gonna happen, sisters and brothers. Say the forces of the Gentiles gonna come unto thee. But what it say in verse 8?
Who are these that fly as a cloud?
Now, because remember now, he said, they coming. In verse 4, he said, lift up thy eyes round about and see all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy son shall come from far, right? Thy son's going to come from far. Thy daughter's going to be nursed at thy side. Hey, they're going to be, Lord going to have a way to get them there. And he telling you this. What it say in verse 8, though?
Who are these that fly as a cloud?
Uh-huh.
And as the doves to their windows.
Right, because he just kind of giving you a little description of how this mode of transportation going to take place, getting back to the wilderness. He said, who are these that fly as a cloud, and what else?
And as the doves to their windows.
And the best way he see it is how? Best way he see it, he just describing it as, but we know these today to be what?
Airplanes.
That's what we know these to be today, right? Airplanes, right? And one way you know it's talking about a mode of transportation because read the next verse. What it say?
Surely the isles shall wait for me.
Wait a minute now, because I saw this morning. He says, surely the isles going to wait for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about, like it just hit me this morning, the isles, wait a minute. In other words, we're talking about islands. But, where the Lord going to be at, he ain't going to be sitting in America. He ain't going to be sitting over in Jamaica, sitting over in Haiti. He's going to be over there, out there by Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So when he say the islands going to wait for me, he's talking about these locations where we scattered at. So it's like, hey, they going to wait for me, and I got something coming their way. And he going to tell you. He say, surely the isles going to wait for me and what?
And the ships of Tarshish first.
Oh, because he going to send some ships to these islands, ain't he? You know why he got to send ships over there? You know why he got to bring ships over here? Because how you going to get across that body of water? How you gonna swim across the Atlantic? How you gonna get there? The Lord knew exactly what he's doing, but he calling it way before it even happened. That's how I know this Bible ain't nothing bad. This the real deal here, man. But he telling you how he gonna bring them up. He say, what? Who are these that fly as a cloud and that's dove to their windows? Then he say, surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far. Their what?
Their silver and their gold with them.
Wait a minute. He said they're going to bring some silver and gold too. How you a slave, you come back home with silver and gold? Because we're going to spoil them again just like our forefathers did last time, sisters and brothers. You ain't going to be walking up in the jewelry store. Can I buy this? Look, they just going to be giving it away. They're going to realize who you are, who we are as a people. Look, he say, to bring thy son, but that's what the ship's going to do, right? To bring thy sons from far. The ships ain't necessary if you right there in Israel, is it? Ships ain't necessary if you sit right there on the continent over there. You can walk right to Israel. But if you over a big body of water, some ships gonna be necessary, right? That's why we don't need to deal with no other doctrine. This right here, you can't beat it, sisters and brothers. But he just letting you know how it's gonna unfold before it even happens. The isles gonna wait for me, the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far. Their silver and their gold with them unto what?
Unto the name of the Lord thy God.
Uh-huh.
And to the Holy One of Israel.
Go ahead.
Because he hath glorified thee.
Uh-huh. So that's it on that? Keep reading. Read verse 11.
Therefore thy gate shall be...
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it on that.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, let's move a little further. Go to Isaiah chapter 23. Isaiah 23. So we got a way to get back, right? Isaiah 23, we're going to pick this up in verse 14. I'm going to read that for me.
How, ye ships of Tarshish, for your strength is laid waste.
That's right, keep reading.
And it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. After the end of 70 years shall Tyre sing as a harlot. Take a harp, go about the city, thou harlot that hast been forgotten. Make sweet melody, sing many songs, that thou mayest be remembered. And it shall come to pass, after the end of the 70 years, that the Lord will visit Tyre, and she shall turn to her hire.
Okay, so now, first and foremost, it say, how ye ships of Tarshish, right? This is what we just read about in Isaiah 60. and they were known, I guess, for dealing with ships and stuff like that, because they're gonna go back into doing that in the future. That's how they're gonna bring the sons and daughters from afar. And like I said a while back, I like to think Tarshish might have a hand in on the cruise ships and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Not, when I think about Tarshish and the ships and stuff like that, how they gonna bring Israel back home, I think about them, because we ain't coming back on the Nina Pinta. We ain't coming back on the good ship Jesus on a wooden boat in the bottom. We coming back as high class merchandise now. That's why the Lord said in another place, you ain't gonna be, other nations, you bring them up, you're gonna have to bring Israel up almost as if you bringing up a sacrifice. You understand? So we ain't gonna be in the bottom of the ship this time. But when he bring us home, when the Lord bring us home this time, I just imagine us riding home in them big old cruise ships. But anyway, Tarshish going back into business just like Tyre is, right? It said it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years. In other words, Tyre is going to lay dormant for a while. 70 years, because that's almost like the time of Israel's captivity, sisters and brothers. That was spoken of in Jeremiah 20, Daniel chapter 9, of how long Israel was going to be in captivity, when Daniel was praying about the condition of his people. And the Lord let him know 70 years, that's how long they was going to be in captivity. And when it's all said and done, when the 70 years is complete, now the Lord is getting ready to come get us. So it's like this right here is paralleling with that same time. Shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. After the end of 70 years shall Tyre sing as a harlot. She going to play the harlot, in other words. She going to go around sounding good to the merchants. Go ahead and read. What else?
Take a harp. Go about the city.
So I'm telling Tyre, take the harp, go about the city. The harp is something you play. Tyre in this particular case, really a nation, a people. Take the harp, go about the city, thou harlot, thou has been forgotten. So it's like she ain't been doing business for 70 years, but she finna come back and start doing business all over again. That's why I say, take thou harlot, thou has been forgotten, make sweet melody. What else?
Sing many songs, that thou mayest be remembered.
Right, so going back to doing your business like you used to do back in the day. Say, make sweet melodies, thou sing many songs, that thou mayest be remembered. So in other words, like, you need to go talk to these different people in power and go talk to them, and you need to say some things that sound good. Let them know what you can do, because the Lord finna use Tyre for something. What it say, brother? Verse 17.
And it shall come to pass after the end of 70 years that the Lord will visit Tyre.
So when these 70 years are complete, the Lord gonna visit Tyre. Keep reading.
And she shall turn to her hire.
She gonna go back to her job. She gonna turn to her hire, and what?
And shall commit fornication with all the kings of the world upon the face of the earth.
Now, not talking about committing physical fornication, laying down and doing that. Not in the physical way. But in other words, she gonna start doing business with the nations. See, the Lord's setting everything up for Israel. Because remember, you get into that wilderness first. And you probably wondering, okay, well, how we getting there? Ship's going to get you there. Plane's going to get you there. Okay? But he also finna tell you how he going to take care of you when you get there. So he says it's going to come to pass after the end of 70 years that the Lord will visit Tyre. And she shall what?
Turn to her hire. And shall commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world.
Keep reading.
Upon the face of the earth.
Go ahead.
And her merchandise and her hire shall be holiness to the Lord.
Wait a minute now. That's how I told you it ain't nothing physical. It said her merchandise and her hire shall be holiness to the Lord, right? So evidently what Tyre is doing, she's doing something good. Her merchandise and her hire going to be holiness to the Lord. What else?
It shall not be treasured nor laid up.
Right, so you ain't finna go do no work, Tyre, and try to store it up for yourself. It say what? It shall not be treasured nor laid up. What?
For her merchandise shall be for them that dwell before the Lord.
Oh, see the stuff that she going to get, Tyre? It say her merchandise going to be for them that dwell before the Lord to what?
To eat sufficiently.
Say, wait a minute. To eat, right? You're going to have food in the wilderness. And what else it say?
And for durable clothing.
Oh, and you're going to have some durable clothing. But that's what Tyre going to do. She going to make sure she get all this stuff set up so when the Lord get back, hey, you ain't got to worry about nothing in the wilderness. You ain't got to worry about taking no clothes over there. You ain't got to worry about, what you going to eat. Look, like I told you, the Lord is behind this operation. The first, if we be so blessed to escape this first go-round, before this great tribulation start, hey, you're going to be straight then. And then, when the Lord get back on this earth and start ruling in the wilderness to get his people in line, Israel still going to be straight. You're going to have the nation, they ain't going to even know what they're doing. That's why we wonder, well, how we going to get to the world? Do we need passports and tickets? Man, the Lord going to turn the mind of man. That's why it's funny how what that thing called on Netflix called The Red Sea? That new Netflix thing, documentary, I guess. They putting out trying to show how these Gentiles was helping Israel, or some of the Limba Jews, I think, get back over to Israel some years ago in the 70s, I believe. But hey, the Lord put the spirit on them back then to do it. What you think he's going to do in the future? The same exact thing. It's funny how they making a movie about it now. Because the Lord is getting ready to come, sisters and brothers. But go to Jeremiah chapter 16. Lord is getting ready to come. It's like people want to come out and be honest now. Hopefully we can find some mercy in the eyes of the Lord. He said that though, didn't he? In Jeremiah say, they're going to say, the Gentiles going to say, our fathers have inherited lies. They ain't doing it right now wholesale, but they're going to start doing it soon. Jeremiah chapter 16, pick it up at verse 10, brother. Jeremiah 16 and verse 10, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God?
And this is what some of these these so-called leaders and stuff. I remember I think his name John Lewis. Is that the older guy that represents Georgia?
So.
Man, I think a lady asked him. It might have been him or another guy, but I think it was him. Asked him why we keep going through this, and he just said, I don't know. I ain't got no answers. And this is somebody who, rode with Martin Luther King and, trying to fight for freedom and stuff like that. And it just got so bad a few years ago, he just said, he came out and said, I don't know. But this is the answer right here. When they asked the question, he said, it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore have the Lord pronounced all this great evil upon us? Why is this happening to us? What?
Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God?
Right, so now just think about that. And that's a very legit question, especially now today when all this stuff, we see happening to us and going on in the world, mainly toward God's people. It's a legitimate question. What is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God? And then he tell them how you going to answer it. What it say in verse 11?
Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me.
Oh, look what he said. He said, look, y'all going through this because your fathers have forsaken me. What else?
Saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them,
Go ahead.
and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law.
That's right. Hey, God got a problem with that, don't he? That law very important, but one reason he said, look, you going through this because your fathers have forsaken me, they have walked after other gods, have served them, have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. So voila, this is the answer. All we got to do, stick to the Old Testament, the Lord will tell you how to get out of this situation and why we going through it, sisters and brothers. What he say in verse 12?
You have done worse than your fathers.
But you better than them. You worse than your daddy. So you worse than your fathers. That's why we was looking at it a couple weeks ago, about how this generation going to be 8 times worse, ain't it? And we definitely worse. I mean, just look at us as Israel alone. We definitely, we need some help. And the Lord is helping us. But they probably look at us nowadays and probably shake their head at us, and we look at them as being bad. But he said, what? We've done worse than our fathers. Go ahead.
For, behold, you walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, that they may not hearken unto me.
Right, so you walk after the imagination of your own heart because you don't want to do what I say. And you notice we got that going on today. Everybody preachers and prophets. Everybody motivational speakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but nobody want to do it. God, I had somebody ask me the other day, and I'm sure it came from a real place. But the question was, can you be led by the Spirit without reading the Bible? I said you can't. I hit him Isaiah, let him know what spirit you need to be led with in John 6:63. The spirit that quicken, the flesh profit none. The words that I speak, they are spirit. That's how you need to speak. You need to use that. Isaiah, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to these words because there's no light in them, they turn around and ask me the question again. I say, you going to need the word to speak, man. If you're trying to give the word to anybody, you need to speak out this Bible.
Yes, sir.
He said, I think I'm asking the question wrong. I said, no, I think you're looking for another answer. You're asking the wrong question. You want me to say something else. Really what you're saying is, can I say, speak to people what's coming off my mind? No, listen, if we say little intermittent things as we preaching, we may do that as we talking through class, because it's a class, but the focus is the word of God, though, And that's what he said. Then shall I say unto them, because your fathers have, where we at? Okay, in the 12. For behold, ye walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, that they may not hearken unto me. Don't want to do what God say. But what the Lord say, though? 13.
Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that you know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor.
That's bad, don't it? Say you're going to get kicked out of this land, I'm going to send you somewhere, and I'm not going to show you favor. And, clearly we can see that today. He's been a little sanctuary at us. He having mercy on us now. He started to bring us back. As a whole, though, as a nation, the Lord ain't showed us no favor. However, notice what he say next, though. Verse 14.
Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Right, because even though I got you jacked up right now, I ain't showing you no favor. That's not the end of it. I'm going to still, change things around. But he said, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord lived that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So that's what we talk about now, right? That's a real miraculous event that took place. Most of the whole world is familiar with that event, right? Every year round, springtime, that's when we start talking about the Passover. The world, they call it Easter. That's when they do their folly. But they even try to, put the movie out with Moses and the Passover, the Red Sea and stuff like that. So that's a real famous event among the whole world. But notice what the Lord is saying. It's going to come a time that it shall no more be said, the Lord lived that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. In other words, y'all not going to talk about that specific event. That ain't going to be the most miraculous thing that happened in the future. What do you say, brother? What's going to happen?
But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them.
Go ahead.
And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
Oh, so what we going to be talking about in the future? We're going to be talking about in the future how he did it all over again. See, remember last time he did it, it was relative to one particular place, Egypt, wasn't it? This time, hey, he going to gather us from all over the world. That's going to, be way bigger than what he did last time. That's why I say, but the Lord lived that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he have driven them, and I will bring them what?
Again into their land.
I'm going to bring them again into their land, because we got scattered, didn't we? But we going back home. I'm going to bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Going to do it all over again. But go to Isaiah chapter 35. Because once again, before we get there, we got that pit stop. Isaiah 35. And let's see how this is going to happen. Isaiah 35, we're going to pick this up at verse 1. It's the last place. Go and read that for me.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them. And the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
Because that's where the church going to be at. Well, that's where Israel coming back to. The Lord gathered. Hey, he bringing Israel to the wilderness. He said the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall blossom as a rose, shall rejoice and blossom as a rose. What else?
It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God.
That's right. Keep reading.
Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you.
That's right. That's what the Lord going to do. You know, so you got almost like double to that, which is because the Lord is going to have us set up in the wilderness when we get there. Lord willing, we get there. We make this great tribulation. We get out of it because that's going to be a bad time. So, but that's not what this class is about. But, hey, the Lord is going to have everything set up for us once we get there, if we make it. Then he's going to also have things set up for his people when they get there also. So it's going to be straight. You ain't got to worry about nothing, sisters and brothers. He said the wilderness and the solitary place is going to be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. You know, another place in Revelation chapter 12, he said he's going to feed her there 1,203 days. Like, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You just got to get there. But it says, strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, because he on his way. He going to come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then what's going to happen?
Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing.
Go ahead.
For in the wilderness shall waters break out.
Wait a minute. What's going to happen in the wilderness?
Water shall break out.
Water's going to break out, right? Didn't that happen before? They hit that rock and water broke out. That's why, hey, it's almost like he's doing everything over again. In the wilderness, water's going to break out. What else?
And streams in the desert.
And streams in the desert. Because, desert is dry out there, right? Ain't really no water flowing. But, hey, when the Lord take hold of it, he say what? And streams in the desert. Keep reading, brother.
And the parched ground shall become a pool.
And the parched ground shall become, it's going to be like a resort. Like, I can't wait to go. Especially if we make especially if we get out of here, before the tribulation starts. We're going to be chilling. 3.5 years, we ain't got to do nothing. I might cry for a few days. I'm going to miss some of my friends and family. Give about 3 months, I'll be good. Mess around, you get it, Lord going to be like, you better stop all that crying. Remember I did Samuel, right? When he stopped Saul from being the king, Samuel was kind of upset. Lord said, what you tripping for? You better get to work. So, hey, I might cry for a day or so, and I'll be like, oh, man, I'm going swimming. He said, the parched ground shall become a pool. What else?
And the thirsty land springs of water.
Keep reading.
And the habitation of dragons.
And the habitation of dragons, this is where this stuff going to come up at. He said, the habitation of dragons, where each lay shall what?
Shall be grass with reeds and rushes.
It's going to be grass with reeds and rushes, sisters and brothers. Go ahead. And what's going to be there?
And a highway shall be there.
And a highway going to be there. Keep reading.
And a way. And it shall be called the way of holiness.
But guess what, though? This is a highway from the wilderness to where? To Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. It's saying a highway shall be there and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. Go ahead.
The unclean shall not pass over.
Look, because remember what's going to happen in the wilderness. If you ain't got yourself together, you ain't walking into the promised land. But we got a highway like JD was saying in Bible study the other night. I can't remember what highway he called it. But he was giving an example like, I-95, I-75, I-10. That's a highway too, right? We'll just consider this a highway from the wilderness to Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. But look, he said the way of holiness, the unclean shall not pass over. You're not getting into the land. Like, you got to get all this stuff worked out in the wilderness. Unclean ain't going to pass over, but it shall be for those what?
It shall be for those. The wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein.
That's right. Look, so you ain't going to mess around and slip into the kingdom. It ain't going to work like that. But I hope somebody got some understanding. That's the lesson. I hope somebody got some understanding of Jesus. Go ahead, announcement.
Our prayer is that the eyes of your understanding were enlightened by today's lesson. DVDs and CDs of the lesson are available. Please place your order in the offering box along with your donation and pick up your DVD CD up at the podium next Sabbath. Please tune into Thy Kingdom Come television program, which airs in various locations. Also, join us for question and answer Bible study in about an hour from now, and every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via live stream and or teleconference at 860-970-0010, access code 343-531-334#. If you feel you are ready to be baptized, please sign the baptismal list at the podium or speak with Brother Tony or Brother Anthony. On the first Sunday of every month, we broadcast the Bible in plain view. This broadcast gives brothers an opportunity to read and or teach a short 30-minute class. If you're interested in helping, please let us know. The following is the dress code for our services. All clothing should be modest in appearance. Nothing tight-fitting, overly bagging, or sagging, or revealing should be worn. Men are to remove hats and all head covering, and women should wear a head covering such as a hat or a scarf, according to 1 Corinthians 11, verses 1 through 7. If your young child becomes noisy during the lesson, distracting other members, please remove him or her to the other room next door. Any tithes and or free will offerings should be put in the offering envelope and placed in the offering box near the podium. Pray for our strength as we pray for you until next Sabbath. Peace.
All right, before we close out, got a few things. First and foremost, Brother Joe and Sister Kalina, they came in from North Carolina in the back over there. They're in their family, so I want you to give them a hand. Thank y'all for coming in, man. Good to see you guys. Also, keep your brothers, Brother DeMarcus and his crew, and Brother Joseph and his crew went up to North Carolina. DeMarcus then went to Jacksonville, so y'all keep them in your prayers for a safe return, going to deal with the gospel. I decided to move the team Bible drill to once a month for now. We need to get some order. I told you I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dead serious, I don't. So if y'all have any ideas, y'all got to help me out, man. So I decided to put it to once a month for now until we can get some kind of stability. I can figure out how to do this thing. So that's on that. Bible in Plain View tomorrow. I'll leave it open for some of y'all brothers if y'all want to do it. I wasn't going to announce this, but tomorrow we have like a big get-together at the house. We have it once every year. So this will be the third annual get-together. That's why the brothers came in town. So it's going to be like a real huge celebration tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. So if y'all want to come on up tomorrow and do Bible in Plain View, y'all more than welcome. If not, we can just get to next Sunday. We can do that. So y'all just let me know what y'all want to do. I think that's it. Haven't heard anything about a building yet. Matter of fact, the guy sold it. The church we was trying to get, the guy sold it to somebody else. So, and we, you know, so just y'all keep us in your prayers. Also, we got one more announcement regarding. You can come on up, Brother Anthony. You have a better understanding on it. This regarding my brother's keeper retreat.
Bless Sabbath, brothers and sisters.
Peace, brother.
For the brothers, we're supposed to have a retreat going on right in November. I think it's November 2nd through the 4th. Spoke to Brother Elijah about it, and Brother Elijah said the church will cover half of it, but the brothers, we have to come up with the other half of it ourselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to get together probably soon, because we have to put a down payment down on it for it. Get together with the brothers, and whoever wants to attend, we get together, and we're going to come out of our own pockets with the other half of it. But Brother Elijah said that the church will cover the other half of it. As far as like our food and all of our stuff like that, we'll have to bring that stuff. But it's going to be in the mountains of Georgia, and it's a nice cabin up there. It's got a lake, and we try to do it before it get too cold outside. It's going to be a chance for the brothers, older brothers as well as the younger brothers to get together. We don't speak to the younger brothers on a daily basis. You know, they go through things as far as like school and things that's happening with them, and we don't talk to them as often as we should, but it's a chance for the brothers to bond and get some information about each other, as well as the older brothers. We need a break too. So, like I said, we'll get together, we'll do some talking, and we'll try to come to a resolution real soon so we can go ahead and get this started. Okay?
That's right. Thank you, brother. That's very important because brothers try to be the foundation of the church. So we're not excluding anything. We're not excluding you sisters out. Y'all have any ideas? Y'all put some things together, and we run it up top. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to lead by example, so we can start making some things happen around here before we get too big. But I think that's it. It's 3:25, so in about an hour we'll start Bible study, Q&A. Other than that, we're gonna face Jerusalem and close out. Is somebody family sick or that needed prayer? I feel like I'm missing somebody. Okay, well. That's it.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done on earth
thy will be done on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts
and forgive us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord,
Praise the Lord,
for he is
for
good,
he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endureth forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
for he is
for
good,
he is good,
and his mercy endures
and
forever.
his mercy endureth forever.
In Jesus' name we pray,
In Jesus' name we pray,
the Holy One of
the Holy
Israel,
One of Israel,
the King of kings,
Jesus King,
and Lord of lords,
Lord of lords,
the one true
the
God,
one true God,
and there is no other.
and there is no other.
Amen.
Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord bless thee and keep
The
thee.
Lord make his face shine upon thee,
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
and be gracious unto thee.
and be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
and give thee peace.
and give thee
They
peace.
shall put my name upon the children of Israel,
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel,
and I will bless them.
and I will bless them.
Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
One more thing, everybody. Tomorrow, it's a potluck. Hey, all right.